In August of 1960, a team of geologists led by the notable Vladimir Dubchenko went on a daring expedition into the expansive and wild terrain of North Baikal Taiga, a mission that aimed to reveal the ancient geological mysteries hidden within the rugged landscape. The team was comprised of individuals of diverse expertise, including Nina, a highly skilled and experienced geologist whose expertise was widely acknowledged, and Nikolai Troyan, a passionate and ambitious young enthusiast eager to showcase his abilities in the field. On the cold morning of August 10th, Nina and Nikolai, carrying lots of maps, tools, and their own determination to explore something new, set out on their daily exploration. However, nature seemed to not cooperate with them, making a seemingly routine mission turn into a dangerous one. As they navigated through the dangerous terrain of the dense forest, they encountered obstacles such as the entangled foliage, slippery ground, and the daunting Sinica River, whose swift and turbulent waters posed a serious challenge. Not bothered by these challenges on their way, they still continued. However, their own fate had a different plan in store for them. The weather abruptly took a turn for the worse, with dark clouds looming ominously overhead, accompanied by howling winds, torrential rain, and swirling snowflakes that caught the geologists off guard. Even the experienced event key guides accompanying the team were taken aback by the sudden intensity of the storm. Despite the increasingly hostile conditions, Nina and Nikolai persisted in their pursuit of the expedition's goal, and they were really determined to know what's hidden beneath these geological wonders. However, as the storm intensified, communication with the base camp went weak, leaving them isolated and vulnerable amidst the unforgiving storm. Hours passed by, which eventually turned into days, and concern began to grow among their colleagues at the base camp. When Nina and Nikolai failed to return as scheduled, a search party led by Vladimir Dubchenko was swiftly assembled. The team searched the area tirelessly, their voices echoing through the wind as they called out the names of their missing comrades, hoping for a faint response to guide them in the right direction. Yet there was no response or even traces from the two, offering no clues to the whereabouts of the vanished geologists. The heavy snowfall had effortlessly covered their tracks, rendering them almost impossible to trace. The relentless search continued, carrying with them the frantic hope of discovering Nina and Nikolai alive. What seemed to be days turned eventually into months, and the prolonged absence of Nina and Nikolai cast a gloomy shadow over their colleagues, who refused to give up and still hoped for a miracle to come. Various theories and speculations were made, ranging from accidental mishaps to encounters with wild animals, yet none could provide a definitive explanation for their inexplicable disappearance. Some said that they might have succumbed to the treacherous currents of the Sinica River, while others entertained the grim possibility of a fatal encounter with a predatory beast. However, lacking tangible evidence to support these theories presented, they merely remained as unverified. With the passage of time, the mystery surrounding their vanishing deepened, giving rise to increasingly fantastical speculations. Supernatural interventions and extraterrestrial abductions entered the conversations between people who speculated, overshadowing the efforts to uncover the truth. With the swirling rumors, the undeniable fact remained. The whereabouts of Nina and Nikolai remained a mystery. Years slipped away, and the memory of the missing geologists gradually faded from the public consciousness. Yet for those intimately acquainted with their story, the ache of their absence lingered on, and more questions have yet to be answered with time. In the end, the inexplicable disappearance of Nina and Nikolai remains a mystery in the records of the North Baikal Taiga. The overarching question persists. What really happened on that very day? Did they meet a tragic end? Or did they go on a mysterious trip into the unknown, forever hidden from everyone? Only time can show the answers.
In the enchanting landscapes of Banff National Park in August 2023, nature unveiled its mesmerizing tapestry. The weather in this captivating region during that time was characterized by a moderate chill temperature. The air held a subtle humidity, creating a relaxed and refreshing atmosphere that added to the allure of the untamed wilderness. The picturesque setting, with lush greenery and the grandeur of the Rockies, provided an ideal backdrop for adventure. Lake Moraine, nestled in the heart of the park, glistened under the August sun, showcasing the park's diverse beauty. Against this backdrop, an old hiker embarked on his solo expedition, unaware of the sad tale that would unfold amidst the natural wonders of Banff National Park. A sad tale unfolded on the slopes near the Cascade Falls trailhead in the heart of Banff National Park, where untamed wilderness and majestic landscapes captivate every adventurer's spirit. In this vast expanse of natural beauty, a 64-year-old Calgary resident set out on a solo hiking expedition. The nature lover and avid nature enthusiast aimed to explore Banff's scenic wonders. Everything was going well when his fellow hikers felt his disappearance. He was ahead of his fellow hikers. After a while, when the other hikers did not see him anywhere, they started to worry about him. This was when the other people reported him missing. The search for the missing hiker intensified as Staff Sergeant Mike Buxton Carr and his team meticulously combed through the Banff National Park's vast area. The discovery of his car near the Banff airstrip was a critical clue, narrowing down the search area and heightening concerns for his well-being. His car was a clue that he stayed in the hiking area. The team, equipped with ground and aerial capabilities, thoroughly explored the Cascade Falls trailhead and its surroundings on August 28th. The situation's urgency echoed through the pristine wilderness as they sought to locate the overdue hiker. The unfolding events set the stage for a challenging operation, with the natural beauty of Banff National Park transforming into a backdrop fraught with suspense and concern. The heightened search effort unfolded as ground and aerial teams collaborated seamlessly, searching the vast wilderness surrounding the Cascade Falls trailhead. Aerial scans, an essential step in the search operation, meticulously guided the team through the intricate terrain, offering a glimmer of hope in the quest to find him. The Cascade Falls, known for its captivating beauty, now became a focal point in unraveling the mystery of his disappearance. As the teams moved deeper into the lush landscapes, clues began to surface, painting a complex picture of events leading to his overdue status. The synergy between law enforcement and Parks Canada's dedicated visitor safety team played a crucial role, their collective expertise converging to piece together the puzzle and determine his whereabouts. The closure of the Cascade Falls Trail and parking lot during the search added a layer of tension to the serene Banff National Park. As the public anxiously awaited updates, the once vibrant park now carried an atmosphere of concern. The closure, a necessary measure during the intensive search operation, heightened the anticipation and deepened the collective unease among park visitors. The picturesque surroundings, typically filled with the sounds of nature and joyous exploration, were now enveloped in a sad ambience. Despite the dedicated efforts of search teams and the hopeful spirit of onlookers, the revelation of the hiker's lifeless body near the trailhead cast a profound shadow over the park's natural beauty, forever intertwining the memory of this tragic event with the breathtaking landscapes of Banff National Park. After an exhaustive investigation, the RCMP determined the hiker's passing to be non-suspicious. The tranquil beauty that had initially enticed him to explore Banff National Park now bore witness to a heartbreaking conclusion. Despite the meticulous efforts to uncover the circumstances surrounding his demise, the exact cause remained elusive. The search teams and the police department stated it was just an accident. There were no hidden factors behind his death. He may fall during his hike. However, whatever the reasons were, the calmness of the surroundings transformed into a poignant backdrop for a tragic end. The hushed whispers of nature became the silent witnesses to the sorrow that lingered in the heart of Banff National Park, leaving behind an unspoken melancholy that resonated through its picturesque landscapes.
In the sprawling expanse of Grand Canyon National Park, a place known for its breathtaking vistas and treacherous cliffs, the disappearance of Charles Lyon, a 49-year-old man from Tyler, Texas, cast a shadow of mystery and concern. It was June 10, 2021, when Charles was last seen at a hotel in Tucson, a small town nestled just outside the park's boundaries. His presence there was unremarkable. blending into the throngs of tourists that pass through each day, eager to witness the natural grandeur of the canyon. Yet Charles was not just another tourist. He was a man on a solo journey, perhaps seeking solace or adventure within the vast wilderness of the Grand Canyon. The following day, June 11th, Charles's car was discovered abandoned near Lippin Point, a scenic overlook known for its panoramic views of the canyon's intricate layers and the meandering Colorado River below. This discovery prompted the National Park Service rangers to initiate a search operation. With no clue as to why Charles had ventured into the park alone or what his intentions were, the search teams combed the area, both on the ground and from the air. Helicopters buzzed over the rugged landscape, while search and rescue teams traversed the trails and backcountry, calling out for Charles, hoping for a response that never came. As the search extended into weeks, the National Park Service announced a scaling back of the operation. The initial surge of efforts to find Charles was reduced to more targeted actions, focusing on community outreach and utilizing patrols and helicopter flights during regular operations. Charles stood 6'3" tall, weighed 177 pounds, and had brown hair and brown eyes, a description that was circulated widely in hopes that someone might have seen him or could offer new information. Yet despite the extensive search efforts and public appeals, Charles remained missing. The Grand Canyon, a marvel of nature's handiwork, has been a site of awe and inspiration for countless visitors. However, it has also been a place where over 600 people have lost their lives, succumbing to accidental falls or the harsh environmental conditions that can prevail. The mystery of Charles's disappearance added another somber note to the canyon's history, reminding us all of the respect and caution this natural wonder demands. In Tyler, Texas, Charles's absence left a void in the hearts of those who knew him. Rumors and theories abounded, with each person trying to make sense of why Charles would vanish into the depths of the Grand Canyon. Was he overwhelmed by personal demons, or was he seeking a connection with the sublime beauty of the natural world? These questions lingered unanswered as the search for him continued in a limited capacity. As days turned into months, the story of Charles Lyon remained a topic of conversation among the locals in Tucson and the wider community of Grand Canyon enthusiasts. Rangers continued to follow up on any new leads, their dedication unwavering, even as the trail seemed to grow cold. The mystery of Charles's disappearance became part of the lore of the Grand Canyon, a reminder of the park's vastness and the secrets it could hold. Through the lens of humor, one might imagine Charles embarking on an unintended adventure, perhaps getting hopelessly lost on a trail, only to be adopted by a family of mule deer who admired his height and decided he was one of their own. Or maybe he discovered a hidden cave, decided to live out his days as a hermit, leaving behind the complexities of modern life for the simplicity of nature. These fanciful scenarios, while amusing, served as a coping mechanism for those grappling with the reality of his absence. In the end, the story of Charles Lyon is a tapestry of mystery, nature's majesty, and the human spirit's quest for meaning. It serves as a poignant reminder of our vulnerability in the face of nature's grandeur and the enduring hope that one day, the truth of Charles's fate might be uncovered, offering closure to his family and those touched by his story.
In the middle of Banff National Park, a mystery appeared over Sulphur Mountain, haunting investigators for over 2 decades. The story begins on July 11, 1998, when a local tour guide discovered human remains, marking the commencement of an unsolved puzzle. The discovery on the backside of Sulphur Mountain, just a few kilometers south of the town site, thrusts investigators into a non-stop quest for answers. The Banff Royal Canadian Mounted Police, RCMP, despite their tireless dedication, find themselves fighting with the elusive identity of the deceased person, preserving a chilling tale that echoes through the bumpy expanse of the Canadian Rockies. The mystery endures despite the passage of more than 20 years, leaving a trail of unanswered questions. Armed with forensic tools and medical examinations, the investigators have been unable to pierce through the veil of uncertainty. The absence of conclusive DNA and dental matches adds to the complexity, making identifying the remains a formidable challenge. As the search for answers continues, the story of Sulphur Mountain remains etched in the annals of mysteries, a testament to the enigmatic forces residing within Banff National Park's breathtaking yet unforgiving terrain. The forensic trail weaves through inconclusive DNA and dental records, offering no solace to the investigators. Despite exhaustive efforts, the elusive identity of the deceased remains obscured, locked in the enigma of Banff National Park's Sulphur Mountain. The lack of concrete matches amplifies the mystery, leaving investigators grappling with the shadowy aftermath of that fateful discovery on July 11, 1998. The medical examiner's meticulous report attempts to breathe life into the unknown, sketching the silhouette of a white male, possibly aged 25, and standing at 5 feet 10 inches. The haunting specter of Ricketts in his childhood paints a poignant picture of an individual marked by adversity. As investigators navigate the labyrinth of time, an additional layer of complexity emerges. The time of death is pinned at more than 2 years before the remains saw the light of day. The relentless pursuit of truth on Sulphur Mountain unfolds against the backdrop of a forensic puzzle, where each unanswered question deepens the allure of a mystery that has endured for decades. As investigators dig deeper, a collection of personal items emerges near the remains, an eerie snapshot frozen in time. A wallet containing a War Amps key tag and photographs raises more questions than answers. Keys, relics from the 1970s or 1980s, including one for a Chrysler vehicle, whisper untold stories. A partial picture becomes a cryptic piece. A black leather wallet adorned with amity and gold lettering adds a touch of intrigue. Composite sketches, unveiled in 2001 and 2018, deepen the enigma. Dr. John Butt, a former Alberta chief medical examiner and forensic pathologist, questions the evolving narrative. The disparity between the two composite drawings raises eyebrows, suggesting the possibility of divergent artistic interpretations. Dr. Butt hints at an advanced tool, a computer-augmented identification program from 1985, capable of generating a visual representation based on various factors and measurements. Yet as the investigation traverses through avenues of uncertainty, the question lingers. What have they been doing since 1998? Dr. Butt's inquiry, echoing from his Vancouver home, resonates with the frustration of a case suspended in time. The suggestion to explore leads beyond Banff, possibly into the United States, adds another layer of complexity. However, the investigators, anchored by an address in Quebec and a War Amps key tag, find themselves caught in a web of clues that refuse to unravel. The story of Sulphur Mountain remains an unsolved saga, a compelling mystery etched into the rugged landscape of Banff National Park, leaving the enigma of a man's identity to echo through the Canadian Rockies. The backside of the mountain, where the local tour guide stumbled upon the remains, becomes a haunting backdrop to their investigative efforts.
In the heart of Vancouver, where the Pacific Ocean meets the rugged landscapes of British Columbia, lived Peter Swart, a man whose dreams transcended the boundaries of his everyday life. An anesthesiologist by profession at the University of British Columbia and Vancouver General Hospitals, Swart was known not only for his skill in the operating room, but also for his warmth, laughter, and deep care for his patients and students. To many, he was a mentor, a colleague, and a friend whose passion for life ignited inspiration in everyone he met. Beyond the confines of hospitals and lecture halls, Swart harbored a dream that flickered into existence when he was just a 9-year-old boy gazing up at a poster of Mount Everest on his bedroom wall. That dream was to stand at the top of the world, to feel the sting of the icy wind on his face, and to look out over the Earth from the planet's highest point. This wasn't just a whim of fancy, but a lifelong ambition he nurtured through the years, an insatiable wanderlust that called him to the wild and the untamed. On May 26, 2023, Swart embarked on the journey that would see him pursue this dream, a quest that was as much about conquering a mountain as it was about reaching a personal pinnacle of achievement. With the support and love of his family, his wife Saritha, and his 2 adult children, Marna and Peter, he set off towards Everest, carrying with him the hopes and well wishes of all who knew him. Swart's expedition was documented through his eyes on his Instagram account, a digital diary that captured the defining moments of his journey. From the bustling streets of Namche Bazaar to the treacherous paths of the Khumbu Icefall, he shared his adventure, each post a testament to his determination and spirit. His last update, a picture against the backdrop of ice and snow, was captioned with hopeful anticipation for the summit push ahead. However, high above the safety of base camp, in the notorious death zone above 8,000 meters, where the air thins and the very atmosphere becomes a challenge to human survival, tragedy struck. Ever the fighter, Swart woke on summit day feeling unwell, but determined to make a safe return. Deciding against the summit push, he returned to Camp 2, where a rescue helicopter awaited, but fate had a different plan. His condition rapidly deteriorated, and despite the efforts to save him, Swart succumbed to the harsh realities of the mountain. Nepalese officials later confirmed the loss of the Canadian climber, marking a sad moment in Everest history and raising the season's death toll. The news of Swart's passing reverberated through the communities in Vancouver and beyond, leaving a void where once stood a man full of life and dreams. Back home, colleagues and friends gathered, not just to mourn the loss of an exceptional physician, but to celebrate the life of a man who dared to dream big. Swart was remembered for his infectious laugh, mentorship, and profound impact on the medical community. Vancouver Coastal Health hailed him as a leader and an inspiration, a sentiment echoed by every life he touched. Swart's journey to Everest was a personal pilgrimage, a testament to his adventurous spirit and deep love for his family. Even in pursuit of his dream, he carried them in his heart, a bond unbroken by distance or danger. His family, in turn, supported him with understanding and love, honoring his passion even in the face of potential loss. Peter Swart's story is a poignant reminder of the fragile thread that binds us to this life, the courage it takes to chase our dreams, and the indelible mark we leave on the hearts of those we love. As his colleagues and family prepare to celebrate his life, they do so knowing that Swart lived true to himself, pursuing his dream with bravery, and leaving behind a legacy of inspiration, kindness, and love that will endure far beyond the slopes of Everest. After spending 3 weeks in solitude deep within a cave nestled in the Indian Himalayas, Justin Alexander Shetler emerged with a renewed sense of purpose coursing through him. As he returned to the village of Kalga in the Parvati Valley, his mind brimmed with fresh determination, ready to pursue a new goal. Justin was an adventure aficionado, widely recognized for his daring escapades and survival skills, thanks to his massive social media following. His life story mirrored the diverse landscapes he explored. From cruising across America on a motorcycle to finding solace in the serene temples of Thailand during his monkhood, and even displaying acts of heroism in Nepal's rough terrain. Justin's life was a collection of stories brimming with courage and curiosity. On August 13, 2016, Justin's inactive social media profiles sprung back to life, offering glimpses of his cave adventures. His followers, hungry for more, were drawn in by his tales of meeting a sadhu named Satnarayan Rawat. Accompanying his stories were snapshots of the ascetic, serving as proof of their chance encounter and the fascinating simplicity of Rawat's lifestyle. Rawat was known for his extreme renunciations and ascetic lifestyle, and he shared his wisdom with Justin during their time together. Inspired by the sadhu's teachings, Justin embarked on a new journey to accompany Rawat on a pilgrimage deep within the heart of the Himalayas, where they planned to meditate in the shadow of towering peaks. With determination driving him forward, Justin made his way to retrieve his motorcycle near Kalga, gearing up to gather supplies for the challenging trek ahead. Despite the Parvati Valley's popularity among pilgrims and trekkers, Justin couldn't shake off the unsettling history of tourists disappearing into its wilds, a thought lingering in his mind as he prepared for the expedition. Joining fellow travelers Andre Capone, Christopher Lee Humphreys, and Vilas Bambru, Justin gathered to seek advice and discuss his plans for the upcoming journey. Bombrou, who had a transformative experience at Montelai Lake, shared his insights, while Gapon and Humphreys expressed concerns about Justin trekking with Rawat. Despite their skepticism, Justin proceeded with his preparations, meticulously selecting only the essentials for the journey ahead. With minimal supplies in his day pack, a thin sleeping bag, a metal cup, and his trusty machete, he embarked on his adventure. Dressed in khaki hiking pants, a Tibetan-style shirt, and a lightweight down jacket. Justin's meager belongings included dental floss, a testament to his resourcefulness and confidence in his abilities in the wilderness. During the early stages of their journey, Justin and Rawat were joined by a porter. However, since Justin and Sadhu intended to spend a few days at their current location, they sent the porter back the following morning after breakfast. On their return journey to Polga, Justin and Rawat traveled together until Takur Kwan. From there, their paths diverged, with their next rendezvous point set for Tunda Bush. They agreed to walk separately, with the plan to reunite at Tunda Bush. However, according to Rawat, Justin never arrived at the agreed-upon destination, prompting Rawat to continue the journey alone. Days turned into weeks, and still there was no sign of Justin. His family, gripped with worry, launched a desperate search for their missing son. Suzanne Reeb, his mother, and a family friend, Jonathan Sleeks, journeyed to Kulu, lodging a missing persons report with the local authorities. Yet despite exhaustive efforts by police and search teams, Justin remained elusive, his fate shrouded in speculations and mystery. As suspicions of foul play grew, attention shifted to Rawat, the mysterious Sadhu who had journeyed with Justin on his unfortunate adventure. Rawat's unwavering claim that Justin hadn't made it to their agreed meeting point only deepened suspicions, raising questions about his role in the adventurer's disappearance. As the investigation progressed, Rawat, overwhelmed by suspicion, tragically took his own life, further shrouding the truth in a veil of secrecy. The case, riddled with ambiguity and unanswered questions, left many pondering the mysteries hidden within the vast expanse of the Himalayas. In the end, Justin's fate remained a puzzle, a reminder of the harsh realities of the wilderness and the irresistible pull of the unknown that draws adventurers into its depths, sometimes never to return.
Derek Luking, a young man of 24, was known for his steadfast reliability. Yet, on a fateful morning in March 2012, Derek's dependable nature was overshadowed by the shadow of uncertainty that descended upon him. It began like any other day, but as the morning wore on and the hours stretched into eternity, Derek's absence became a cause for concern. Calls to his cell phone went unanswered. His usual punctuality was replaced by an ominous silence. For Derek's roommate Ryan Molden, the day began with the shrill sound of an alarm echoing through the empty halls of their shared home. Yet as the minutes turned to hours and Derek failed to appear, a sense of unease began to gnaw at the edges of Ryan's consciousness. He was always on time, Ryan would later recall, his voice tinged with a note of bewilderment. So when he didn't show up for work, I knew something wasn't right. As the hours stretched into eternity, Ryan's concern turned to alarm, prompting him to reach out to Derek's family. The Lukings, a tight-knit family from Virginia, wasted no time in springing into action, embarking on a journey into the unknown in search of their missing son. Their quest led them to the Great Smoky Mountains National Park, where Derek had made a reservation at a remote hotel, nestled amidst the towering peaks and verdant valleys. It was here, amidst the beauty of the wilderness, that the first clue to Derek's mysterious disappearance would be uncovered. Surveillance footage from the hotel revealed Derek's arrival, showing his demeanor as calm and collected as he checked into his room. Yet upon closer inspection, the scene that greeted his family would send shivers down their spines. A Bible lay open upon the bed, its pages fluttering in the breeze, while a half-empty bottle of liquor lay discarded upon the floor. The sight sent a chill down Tim Luking's spine, his mind reeling with questions that had no answers. What had driven his son to seek solace in the depths of the wilderness? And what secrets lay hidden beneath the surface of this seemingly tranquil landscape? As the days turned into weeks and the search for Derek intensified, new clues emerged, each one more baffling than the last. His car, abandoned at a remote overlook known as Newfound Gap, held within its confines a trove of mysteries waiting to be unraveled. Pages torn from a military survival manual hinted at Derek's intentions, while newly purchased gear lay untouched, a silent testament to the enigma of his disappearance. And then there was the note, a cryptic message scrawled upon a scrap of paper, its words a chilling reminder of the unknown that lurked just beyond the edge of the forest. "Don't come find me," the note read, its meaning shrouded in ambiguity. Was it a plea for solitude, a desperate cry for help, or something far more sinister? As the days grew by, the mystery of Derek's disappearance only deepened, leaving his loved ones grappling with unanswered questions and haunting visions of what might have been.
In the rugged terrain of Hawaii's rich natural scenery, Jesse Glenn Pinniger began his journey along the Kalalau Trail. A 23-year-old with a keen interest in adventure, Jesse was well-versed in outdoor activities, enjoying hiking and camping. He was drawn to exploration and the excitement of venturing into unfamiliar territory. Growing up in Utah, Jesse was surrounded by the outdoors from a young age. His family frequently ventured into the mountains, where Jesse developed a profound appreciation for nature. He thrived among towering trees, expansive skies, and untouched landscapes, feeling most alive in their midst. As he matured, Jesse's desire for adventure grew stronger. When plans with friends fell through, he seized the opportunity to embark on a solo journey to Hawaii. In January 2008, he boarded a plane bound for Kauai, leaving behind Utah's familiar scenery for the allure of a tropical paradise. Upon arriving on the island, Jesse rented an apartment and eagerly immersed himself in his new surroundings. He eagerly explored the hidden gems of Kauai, uncovering its mysteries one trail at a time. Yet it was the Kalalau Trail that captivated him the most, a winding path along the coastline that offered stunning vistas at every twist and turn. Jesse had told his family that he would return home after a few months, but as the days turned into weeks and Jesse's absence stretched into months, worry etched deeper lines into his family's faces. When March came and went without a trace of him, his father, his heart heavy with concern, decided to journey to Kauai in search of his son. Upon arriving on the island, Jesse's father immediately set out on a relentless search, driven by his love as a father. He tirelessly canvassed every street corner and storefront, putting up flyers featuring Jesse's smiling face all over Kauai. Despite his unwavering dedication, the island kept its secrets guarded closely, and Jesse remained elusive and out of reach. Months passed and hope began to fade as the trail grew colder with each passing day. But just when it seemed that all was lost, a glimmer of hope appeared on the horizon. A hiker stumbled upon an abandoned campsite near a cliff, 5 miles into the treacherous Kalalau Trail. It was a bittersweet discovery for Jesse's family. On one hand, they were relieved to have a lead in the case, but on the other, they knew that the trail ahead would be fraught with danger and uncertainty. As they delved deeper into the investigation, they uncovered the dark secrets lurking beneath the surface of paradise. The Kalalau Trail, known for its breathtaking beauty, was also notorious for its perilous terrain and unpredictable weather. Flash floods, crumbling cliffs, and treacherous ocean currents lurked around every corner, claiming the lives of countless adventurers who dared to tread its path. And among those who vanished into the misty abyss were Jesse and several others who shared his fate. Jesse Glenn Pinniger's disappearance is just one chapter in the mysterious history of the Kalalau Trail, but he is not alone. Daniel Marks, Bradford Turek, Atticus Lewis Pearson, Ilya Lomov, Alex Gum, and Piotr Drabek, they all carried the same fate of disappearing amidst the rugged beauty of the Kalalau Trail. Some speculate that the disappearances are the work of a serial killer, preying on unsuspecting travelers who venture too far from the safety of civilization. Others believe that the trail itself is cursed, its ancient spirits and hidden dangers exacting a toll on those who dare to tread its paths. No matter what's at play, One thing's for sure. These disappearances have left a hole in the hearts of their families. A hole that we can only hope will be filled once they're found. In the summer of 2004, the rugged beauty of southwestern China's Yunnan province beckoned to David Snedden, a 24-year-old Brigham Young University student. Taking a break from his study abroad program in Beijing, David embarked on a solo hiking expedition in the Tiger Leaping Gorge area, a place of stunning landscapes and untamed wilderness. On August 14th, with a backpack slung over his shoulders and a spirit of adventure in his heart, David set out into the rugged terrain of the gorge. Little did he know that this would be the beginning of a mystery that would puzzle investigators and captivate the world for years to come. On August 18th, the Chinese authorities delivered devastating news to David's family. They believed he had drowned while hiking in the gorge. However, without concrete evidence or a body to confirm their theory, David's family refused to accept this explanation. Determined to uncover the truth, they traveled to China to conduct their own search, but their efforts yielded no leads. In the years that followed, speculations surrounding David's disappearance swirled, fueled by rumors and theories that range from the plausible to the downright fantastical. One theory gained significant traction in the media, known as the North Korean abduction theory. It suggested that the North Korean government abducted David due to his proficiency in Mandarin, English, and Korean. Reports emerged of a Caucasian man resembling David being seen in Pyongyang, North Korea, fueling speculation that he had been coerced into working as an English tutor for Kim Jong-un, the leader of North Korea. Despite the lack of concrete evidence to support this theory, David's family continued to advocate for his case, seeking assistance from various government agencies and conducting their own investigations. They refused to give up hope, clinging to the belief that David was still alive and waiting to be found. In 2014, a significant development occurred when a Chinese defector claimed to have seen David in North Korea back in 2004. This revelation reignited speculation about David's fate and prompted renewed efforts to uncover the truth. Despite this new lead, the U.S. government faced challenges in investigating David's disappearance due to diplomatic tensions with North Korea. In 2015, they launched a fresh investigation, but their efforts were hindered by the lack of cooperation from North Korean authorities. Despite their best efforts, they were unable to find conclusive evidence to support the North Korean abduction theory. As time passed, David's case gradually faded from the headlines, but the mystery of his disappearance continued to linger. Some believed he may have met with foul play, while others speculated that he had voluntarily chosen to vanish, seeking a fresh start away from the pressures of his previous life. As of today, David Snedden's fate remains a mystery. His disappearance presents a puzzle that has baffled investigators for over a decade, leaving his family and loved ones searching for answers. Until concrete evidence surfaces, they hold on to hope, yearning for the day when they will unravel the truth behind his disappearance in the gorge. Tranquil city of Oakley, California, a community was shaken by the disappearance of a young girl, Araya Morning. At just 17 years old, Araya vanished into the thin air of a cool February night, setting off a series of events that would captivate and concern her community. This tale unfolds in a quiet neighborhood where the streets, usually bustling with the sounds of everyday life, grew silent in the wake of her absence. Araya, a petite girl with a presence much larger than her 5'1" stature, was known for her vibrant personality and unmistakable laugh. Her black hair and brown eyes were familiar and comforting sights to those who knew her well. On the night of February 15, 2024, she was last seen wearing a dark leather jacket and black leggings, attire that spoke to her unique style and spirit. The location of her last sighting, near the crossroads of Rocky Mountain Way and Grand Canyon Circle, would soon become the focal point of a desperate search. The Oakley Police Department, upon learning of Araya's disappearance, acted swiftly to issue an Amber Alert, a call to action that underscored the urgency of finding her. This alert, spreading through Alameda and Contra Costa counties, was a beacon to community vigilance, prompting residents to keep their eyes peeled for any sign of the missing teen. Araya's sudden departure from her home on the 400 block of Rocky Mountain Way was way out of character, even though she had a history of brief, unannounced departures. Her parents, gripped by a mixture of hope and fear, initially hesitated to involve the police, clinging to the belief that Araya would return just as suddenly as she had left. However, as hours turned into days without a word from their daughter, they realized this time was different. The community's response was immediate and heartwarming. Messages of hope and prayers flooded social media, with residents and strangers alike expressing their concern and wishing for Araya's safe return. As the Oakley Police Department delved deeper into the investigation, the absence of clear leads or sightings of Araya post-disappearance added layers of complexity to the case. Yet the resolve of both the officers and the community remained unshaken. Tip lines buzzed with potential sightings and information, each call serving as a thread in the larger tapestry of the search effort. The narrative of Araya Morning's disappearance is a story of a community united by concern and hope. It is a reminder of the fragility of safety and strength found in collective action. As the search continues, the spirit of Oakley shines brightly, a beacon of hope in the quest to bring Araya home. This story, marked by the absence of its protagonist, is not just about a missing teenager. It's a testament to the resilience of a community faced with uncertainty. With a blend of humor to lighten the heartache, the tale weaves through the efforts to find Araya, highlighting the peculiarities of human nature and the bonds that tie a community together in times of crisis. The investigation into Araya Morning's whereabouts remains ongoing, a puzzle yet to be solved. As detectives piece together the events of that February night, the community of Oakley holds its breath, awaiting the moment when Araya walks back through her door into the embrace of a family and a community that has missed her dearly. The story of Araya Morning is far from over, but it serves as a poignant reminder of the strength found in hope and the power of a community that refuses to give up. In the vast, sprawling expanse of the Grand Canyon, where the Colorado River carves its way through layers of ancient rock, a tale unfolded that would capture the attention of many. It was here, amidst the rugged beauty of this natural wonder, that Peter Francis Schwab, a 66-year-old man from Healdsburg, California, found himself embroiled in an adventure that was anything but ordinary. Peter, known to his friends as a man who enjoyed the great outdoors, had embarked on a river trip that promised both the thrill of the rapids and the tranquility of nature. On June 28, 2019, he was spotted for the last time on a small beach just downriver from National Canyon, a place where the mighty Colorado River winds its way through the desert landscape. Wearing a tan full-brim hat to shield his face from the relentless sun, a white long-sleeve shirt, gray cargo shorts, and a pair of older-style Teva sandals, Peter seemed prepared for a day of exploration. He had set out on a day hike to the Narrows in National Canyon, a spot known for its breathtaking vistas and challenging terrain. However, as the day wore on and the shadows began to lengthen, Peter did not return. Concern grew among the members of the river trip, and it wasn't long before the National Park Service was alerted to his disappearance. The area, known for its beauty as much as its dangers, suddenly became the focus of an intensive search. Rangers scoured the area, retracing Peter's last known steps and searching for any sign of the missing hiker. They issued a call to the public, urging anyone who might have seen Peter to come forward. The National Park Service ISB tip line buzzed with activity as officials pieced together the events of that day. Despite their efforts, Peter remained missing, and as the days passed, the likelihood of finding him safe and sound began to dwindle. The harsh reality of the Grand Canyon, with its treacherous terrain and powerful river, became all too apparent. Officials piecing together the evidence came to the grim conclusion that Peter had likely succumbed to the river's might, presumed to have drowned in the swirling waters of the Colorado River. The news cast a shadow over the Grand Canyon, a reminder of the unpredictable nature of such wild places. Yet even in the face of tragedy, there were moments of levity and humanity. Fellow hikers shared stories of Peter, remembering his adventurous spirit and his readiness to embark on a journey into the unknown. The search teams, though weighed down by the seriousness of their task, occasionally found themselves chuckling at the thought of Peter, his distinctive hat and sandals, setting off with the determination of a much younger man. As the search officially turned into a recovery operation, the story of Peter Francis Schwab became a cautionary tale, a reminder of the respect and preparation required when facing the formidable forces of nature. Yet it also served as a testament to the indomitable human spirit, the desire to explore, seek out new experiences, and face the challenges of the wild with courage and a sense of adventure. The Grand Canyon, with its timeless beauty and ancient mysteries, reclaimed a piece of itself, leaving those who knew Peter with memories of a man who lived his life in pursuit of adventure, undeterred by the risks. And while his journey may have ended in the depths of the Colorado River, his story continues to inspire those who hear it, a reminder of the fragile balance between man and nature, and the enduring call of the wild that draws us time and time again into the great outdoors.
Colonel Percy Fawcett, along with his son Jack and their friend Riley Rimmel, embarked on a daring expedition into the depths of the Amazon rainforest in April 1925. Their goal? To uncover the secrets of the fabled city of Z, a legendary civilization rumored to exist deep within the uncharted wilderness. Before they set off, Fawcett carefully planned their route, looking over maps and consulting with indigenous guides. They packed essentials for the journey ahead, anticipating the challenges that lay in store. Excitement can be felt as they prepared to go on their adventure, unaware of the trials that awaited them. As they went into the jungle, the air thickened with humidity, and the sounds of wildlife surrounded them. Mosquitoes buzzed incessantly, and the dense foliage seemed to close in around them. But Fawcett, an experienced explorer, pressed on with determination, leading his companions deeper into the unknown. Their progress was slow and grueling, with each step fraught with obstacles. Thick undergrowth impeded their path, and treacherous terrain tested their endurance. Despite the hardships, they remained undeterred, and the only thing that mattered was their desire to discover something. Communication with the outside world became increasingly sporadic as they ventured further into the rainforest. Letters sent back home offered glimpses into their journey, but as time passed, the letters grew fewer and farther apart. Concern mounted among their loved ones as the days passed with no word from the expedition. In late May, they reached Dead Horse Camp, a pivotal point in their journey. Here they restocked their supplies and prepared to push deeper into the jungle. But as they went into uncharted territory, they encountered unforeseen challenges that tested their resolve. They pressed on, battling exhaustion and the relentless heat of the Amazon. Hunger gnawed at their stomachs, and fatigue weighed heavy on their bodies. Yet they pushed forward, driven by their determination to uncover the truth behind the mysterious city of Z. They faced rushing rivers, impenetrable swamps, and towering cliffs that blocked their progress. But Fawcett, with his determination to discover something, led his companions onward, refusing to be deterred by the challenges that they faced. Their journey was not without danger. They encountered venomous snakes, ferocious predators, and hostile tribes who viewed them with suspicion. Yet they still continued. As the months passed, hope began to fade for the expedition's safe return. Search parties were dispatched into the rainforest, but the vastness of the jungle made their task nearly impossible. They completely vanished into the Amazon, leaving no trace of their whereabouts. Rumors swirled about their fate. Some speculated that they had fallen victim to hostile tribes, while others believed they had succumbed to illness or starvation. But without concrete evidence, the truth remained a mystery. What if they had stumbled upon the ruins of an ancient civilization, hidden deep within the jungle? What if they had uncovered secrets that were never meant to be revealed? What if their disappearance was not the result of natural causes, but something far more sinister? These questions haunted those who followed the case, fueling speculation and intrigue. The disappearance of Percy Fawcett and his companions remains one of the greatest unsolved mysteries of the 20th century, and inspired countless other explorers to venture more into the jungle. Percy Fawcett's story also inspired countless works of art, such as books, making his story the most mysterious case in the face of exploration. Juliana Kupska, just a teenager at 17, lived through a terrifying experience on Christmas Eve back in 1971. She was on LANSA Flight 508, a flight headed from Lima to Panguana, a trip she took with her mother Maria. Little did they know their trip would turn into a nightmare. The day started like any other, with excitement for the holiday season ahead. Julianne and her mother boarded the flight in Lima, eager to reach their destination in time for Christmas. Despite her father's concerns about the flight's safety, they decided to go ahead with their plans. As they settled into their seats on the plane, Julianne couldn't shake a feeling of unease. There were whispers among the passengers about thunderstorms and turbulence, making the atmosphere inside the cabin tense. Julianne and her mother were seated near the rear of the aircraft, watching nervously as dark clouds gathered outside the windows. The anticipation of the journey ahead was mixed with a sense of foreboding. Then, without warning, the plane hit severe turbulence. Lightning flashed, causing the passengers to feel frightened. The plane shook violently, causing panic to spread among those on board. Julianne clung to her mother, their hands tightly intertwined as the chaos unfolded around them. Despite the fear coursing through her veins, she found peace and calm in her mother's presence. Her words of reassurance seemed to be the only thing calming her down at that very moment. But the calmness turned into horror when disaster struck. A blinding flash of lightning lit up the sky as the plane plummeted from the sky, its wings engulfed in flames. Julianne felt her stomach lurch as the ground rushed up to meet them. The next thing she knew, Julianne was waking up amidst the wreckage of the plane, now deep within the Amazon rainforest. Her head throbbed with pain, and she struggled to make sense of her surroundings. The cabin lay in ruins around her, twisted metal and debris strewn everywhere. Despite her injuries, Julianne found herself still strapped to her seat, the only intact structure in the wreckage. She searched frantically for her mother, her heart pounding with fear as she realized she was alone. In the days that followed, Julianne faced a desperate struggle for survival. With no food, water, or shelter, she relied on her instincts and the survival skills she had learned from her parents, both renowned zoologists. She foraged for food, using her knowledge of the rainforest to find edible plants and fruits to sustain her dwindling strength. Each day was a battle against hunger, exhaustion, and the scorching heat of the jungle. As the days passed, Julianne clung to the hope that help would come. She tried to attract attention by shouting and waving makeshift flags, but her cries went unanswered. Meanwhile, search parties were combing the jungle in search of survivors. But the dense foliage and terrain made their task difficult, hampering their efforts to locate Julianne amidst the vast expanse of greenery. Despite the challenges she faced, Julianne refused to give up hope. She clung to the belief that her father would never stop looking for her, that he would find her no matter what. Then, on the 11th day of her ordeal, Julianne's prayers were answered. She stumbled upon a logging camp where she was discovered by local fishermen who provided her with much-needed assistance. Following her rescue, Julianne was reunited with her father and received medical attention for her injuries. Her remarkable survival story captured the world's attention, sparking discussions about aviation safety and wilderness survival. Now, Julianne is a biologist and is married. Her incredible tale of survival has inspired numerous artistic works, including books and films, that portray how she miraculously survived two life-threatening challenges: a plane crash and the perils of the Amazon rainforest.
As the sun glowed on the rugged terrain north of Yellowstone National Park on March 23, 2022, the air buzzed with anticipation as Craig Pluotra prepared for a hiking adventure. He was a 40-year-old family man hailing from Livingston, Montana. Craig's love for the great outdoors beckoned him to the majestic mountains that stood as silent sentinels against the azure sky. Accompanied by a friend, the duo embarked on a fateful Wednesday morning. their footsteps echoing through the serene wilderness. Driven by the primal urge to explore and perhaps uncover the hidden treasures of the untamed landscape, Craig and his companion went deeper into nature's embrace. The towering peaks and whispering pines bore witness to their journey, unaware that this excursion would take a tragic turn. Once a source of solace and inspiration, the mountains became a backdrop for a tale of unforeseen peril as the day unfolded. The winding trails, adorned with nature's wonders, concealed the impending tragedy that awaited the unsuspecting hikers. Little did Craig know that this venture into the heart of the wilderness would be his last trip, and it will begin a story that will resonate far beyond the slopes and valleys. The mountains, stoic witnesses to the ebb and flow of life, held the secrets of that unfortunate day, leaving a community in sorrow and questioning the unpredictable nature of the majestic yet formidable outdoors. Craig and his friend decided to split up during their hike in the 6 Mile Creek area of the Absaroka Mountains. They separated at a certain hike point and chose different routes to reach their final destination. When Craig's friend returned to their vehicle later in the morning, a chilling realization struck. He couldn't find Craig. Concerned for his friend's safety, he promptly alerted the authorities and searched for Craig. Search teams on the ground and in helicopters combed the rugged terrain, their eyes scanning the vast wilderness for any sign of the missing hiker. With their dense forests and steep slopes above the Yellowstone River, the Absaroka Mountains held secrets and dangers that only nature could conceal. Gripped by worry, the community anxiously awaited news of Craig's whereabouts. Days passed and the search intensified, weaving through the towering trees and rocky paths. Finally, the sad truth emerged. Authorities revealed that Craig had fallen victim to a suspected encounter with a grizzly bear. The news sent shockwaves through the community, leaving them grappling with the harsh reality of the wild landscape surrounding their homes. Once a place of serene beauty, the Absaroka Mountains now bore witness to a tragedy that would forever alter the lives of those who knew and loved Craig. As the community mourned the loss of a good man, a devoted husband and father, the echoes of the incident resonated far beyond the mountainous terrain. Craig's father, David Cloatra, shared memories of a son who had grown up in Massachusetts and had, more than 2 decades ago, found his home in the rugged beauty of Montana. A hard-working family man, Craig's joyous spirit touched the lives of those around him. Ann Tanner, a friend of the victim, struggled to comprehend the untimely fate that had befallen someone so strong and intelligent. The wilderness, Craig's playground in summer hikes and winter ice climbs, had unexpectedly become the stage for his final adventure. The tragic incident echoed the dangers posed by grizzly bears in the Yellowstone region, where these majestic creatures had claimed several lives in the last few years. Yet the community faced a contentious debate in the face of tragedy. Elected officials in the Yellowstone region pushed for lifting protections on grizzlies, advocating for hunting to manage their population. The tension between conservation and safety unfolded against the backdrop of more than 700 bears inhabiting the vast Yellowstone region, where fatal attacks on humans remained rare, but had seen an unsettling increase in recent decades. As the sun set behind the Absaroka Mountains, the community grappled with grief, questions about wilderness safety, and the delicate balance between human presence and the untamed wild. The legacy of Craig Cloatra, a man who met his untimely end in embracing nature's dangers, became a poignant reminder of the complexities and perils of venturing into the heart of the great outdoors. Victor Mekas was a typical 20-year-old student studying at the Irkutsk State University. He lived in a dormitory on Lesya Ukraina Street, sharing a room with a fellow student. On the night of April 25, 2023, Victor went out with friends to Bravo nightclub, a popular spot among students in Irkutsk. They laughed and danced the night away, enjoying the freedom that comes with youth and the excitement of the weekend. As the night came to a close, Victor said goodbye to his friends outside the club. He planned to walk back to his dormitory alone, a short distance away. It was a route he had taken many times before, and he didn't foresee any issues. However, Victor never made it back to his dormitory that night. When his roommate woke up the next morning, he noticed that Victor's bed was empty. Assuming Victor had spent the night elsewhere, he didn't think much of it at first. But as the day went on and Victor still hadn't returned, concern began to set in. Victor's friends, knowing it was unlike him to disappear without a word, contacted his family. Together, they retraced his steps and checked with anyone who might have seen him after leaving the club, but there was no sign of Victor. The following day, Victor's family filed a missing person report with the police. They provided details of his last known whereabouts and descriptions of his appearance. The police assured them that they would do everything they could to find Victor and bring him home safely. Days passed and the search for Victor intensified. Flyers with his photo and description were posted around the city, and volunteers joined in the efforts to comb through nearby neighborhoods and parks. But despite their best efforts, Victor's whereabouts remained a mystery. Then a breakthrough, or so they thought. A month after Victor's disappearance, a fisherman found his passport near Yacobi Bay, not far from where the Angara River flows into Lake Baikal. This discovery sparked new hope that Victor might still be found alive. Dive teams were dispatched to search the riverbed for any trace of Victor. They carefully combed through the murky waters, hoping to find something that would lead them to him. But as time passed and no new evidence surfaced, the initial optimism began to fade. With each passing day, Victor's family and friends grappled with the uncertainty of what happened to him. They clung to the hope that he was out there somewhere, waiting to be found. But as time passed, their hope began to fade. Various theories circulated about what might have happened to Victor. Some believed he had fallen victim to the river's currents, perhaps after a misstep or accident while walking near the water's edge. Others speculated that foul play might be involved, pointing to the possibility of abduction or robbery gone wrong. Despite the lack of concrete evidence, the search for Victor continued. The city of Irkutsk rallied around his family, offering support and assistance in any way they could. But as time went on and leaves grew cold, the likelihood of finding Victor alive dwindled. Now, almost a year since his disappearance, Victor Mekas remains missing. His family continues to hold out hope for answers, but the passage of time has only deepened the mystery surrounding his fate. What if Victor had encountered foul play, his fate forever tied to the river? What if he had chosen to disappear, seeking a new life elsewhere? These questions were discussed, haunting those who knew and loved him as they continue to search for the truth. In Rezhevsky district in the Sverdlovsk region, the small village of Cheremiskoye stood overshadowed by a harrowing mystery that unraveled on a fateful summer night in August 2007. This mysterious puzzle revolved around the 3-year-old Maxim Plotnikov, born on the 26th of August in 2004, whose sudden disappearance shocked a whole tight-knit community, leaving them gripped with fear and uncertainty. Before his inexplicable disappearance, Maxim had been living with his loving grandparents in their cozy countryside abode. The routine evening of August 19th witnessed Maxim's grandmother carrying out her usual bedtime ritual, tenderly tucking him in around 11 p.m. As the innocent child peacefully drifted off to sleep, oblivious to the sudden change, little did he know the turbulent events that would soon disrupt the peacefulness of his world. In the silent hours that followed, Maxim's grandparents were peaceful in their slumber, their sense of security shattered by the unforeseen events awaiting them. It wasn't until the crack of dawn, around 5 a.m., that Maxim's grandfather returned from his night shift, only to be greeted by the chilling void left by his missing grandson. A palpable sense of dread covered the household as frantic searches proved useless in locating the young boy. Promptly responding to the distress call, law enforcement initiated a thorough investigation to solve the mystery shrouding Maxim's disappearance. Preliminary investigations revealed that Maxim's grandmother had put him to bed only to find him missing upon waking. Complicating matters further, Maxime's parents were away in Yekaterinburg at the time, adding a layer of perplexity to the unfolding mystery. In a concerted effort to trace Maxime's whereabouts, the authorities enlisted the aid of a service dog, whose acute olfactory senses guided them toward the highway leading to the city of Nevyansk. Joining the search efforts were military personnel from the nearby village of Pervomaisky, tirelessly searching through abandoned structures, dense woodlands, and the riverbanks of Reshevsky in pursuit of any clue that could shed light on Maxime's whereabouts. Despite the exhaustive search missions, Maxime's whereabouts continued to remain a mystery, making people uncertain of what might have happened to him. A sudden twist in the story saw suspicion looming over Maxime's own grandparents, who were detained by law enforcement for questioning under Article 91 of the Criminal Code of the Russian Federation. Nevertheless, no formal charges were pressed against them, and they remained under the close scrutiny of the authorities as the investigation progressed, adding a new dimension to the puzzling case. Various theories surrounded the circumstances surrounding Maxime's disappearance, ranging between the chances of foul play and tragic misfortune, each theory hinting at the chilling possibilities waiting to be proved. While some speculated about the potential role of Maxime's grandparents in his sudden disappearance, others pondered the grim likelihood of an unseen tragedy happening to the young boy during the night he disappeared. As the days of relentless searching went into weeks, the hunt for Maxime Plotnikov continued. Each passing day brought forth another set of unanswered questions rather than answers, further haunting the community with the looming uncertainty. What if Maxime's disappearance hid a darker truth that was planned by those closest to him? Could the answers to Maxime's vanishing lie buried beneath layers of deceit and betrayal, awaiting discovery through the pursuit of truth and justice? We may never know, as until now, Maxime's sudden yet mysterious disappearance was still left with a big question mark.
In the vast wilderness of Banff National Park, a tale unfolds beneath the towering presence of Mount Rundle, a story that whispers through the pines and echoes off the rocky faces of the Canadian Rockies. It begins with Ralph Greenaway, a man whose life was a canvas painted with the bold strokes of adventure and the finer details of a passion for flight. Ralph, at the age of 40, had carved a niche for himself in the world of extreme sports. A seasoned base jumper with 20 years of leaps into the void, his life was a testament to pursuing that exhilarating moment between jump and landing. Beyond the thrill, Ralph was an avid outdoorsman, a mountaineer who had felt the call of the peaks early, and an Ironman whose physical prowess was matched only by his determination. His ambition in the skies paralleled his love for the mountains. Working towards a career as a helicopter pilot, Ralph sought to marry his passion for flight with a life above the ground. Friends would often label him crazy for the life he chose to lead, but those who truly knew him understood the depth of his calculations, the careful consideration behind each jump, and the profound joy he found in the air. Jessica Taylor, a friend and climbing partner, knew the man behind the jumps. Together, they had shared countless adventures, tied together not just by ropes, but by a shared understanding of what it meant to push the limits. Ralph did not shy away from risk. Instead, he met it with open arms, acknowledging the dangers while embracing the beauty of the challenge. August 31st, 2014, marked the beginning of a mystery that would capture the imaginations and hearts of the Banff community and beyond. Ralph had hinted at plans for a jump from Mount Rundle, a feat of physical skill and mental fortitude. That evening, as twilight brushed the tips of the Rockies, Ralph's vehicle was found at the trailhead, a silent sentinel to his intentions. His winged suit and parachute were missing, the tools of his trade and the precursors of his latest quest. Mount Rundle stood imposing against the skyline, its east face a siren call to those, like Ralph, who sought to dance with the sky. With its rugged terrain and unpredictable weather, the mountain was a formidable opponent, offering both the allure of the climb and the peril of the descent. The days following Ralph's last known plans unfolded with a growing sense of unease. Search and rescue teams scoured the probable terrains, hampered by the onset of unseasonal snowfall that blanketed any trace of Ralph's passage. The park, usually a place of awe-inspiring beauty, became the backdrop for a search that grew more desperate with each passing hour. The absence of a precise flight plan, Ralph's choice of dark attire, and the lack of an emergency locator beacon compounded the difficulties of the search. The silence from his cell phone, which might have offered a clue to his whereabouts, remained unbroken, adding to the mystery. As the search continued, theories abounded. Some whispered of an ultimate flight, a jump that had merged man with a mountain in a way that left no trace. Others pondered the possibility of a misstep, a moment's miscalculation that had led to an untimely end. But amidst the speculation, one thing remained clear. Ralph Greenaway, a man whose life was a symphony of calculated risks and breathtaking leaps, had vanished into the heart of Banff, leaving behind questions that echoed like the call of the wild. In Banff National Park, where the mountains stand guard over secrets old and new, the story of Ralph Greenaway is whispered on the wind, a tale of adventure, mystery, and the eternal quest for flight.
In April 2015, the Shamrock family was nestled in the embrace of Victoria's Lake Eildon National Park, where the beauty of nature was meant to be the backdrop for family bonding and peaceful moments. 11-year-old Luke Shamrock, with his gentle nature and curious spirit, was among those relishing the freedom that such an open space provided. The day was unfolding like any other in the campgrounds of Candlebark, with laughter and light-hearted conversations filling the air. Luke, a boy whose world was painted in unique shades by his autism, found joy in the little things others might overlook. His condition made him perceive the world differently, adding a layer of profound innocence to his interactions with his surroundings. On this day, however, the very trait that made Luke so special would also render him especially vulnerable. As the morning progressed, Luke wandered a little away from the campsite, drawn perhaps by the allure of the bushland's hidden wonders, or the simple pleasure of exploration. The area, vast and teeming with the untamed beauty of dense underbrush and towering trees, was a natural magnet for a curious child. But in a heartbreaking twist of fate, it became a maze from which Luke could not find his way back. His disappearance was not immediately noticed. The tranquility of the setting and the family's engagement in their camping activities masked his absence. The alarm was raised only when a silence, unusual and heavy, fell upon the group. Luke was missing. The realization struck with the force of a physical blow, sending waves of panic through the hearts of the family. The search began frantically. Shouts of Luke's name pierced the stillness of the national park. Each call met with silence. The family's initial efforts to locate him quickly spiraled into a desperate plea for help as the park's vastness became apparent. With his limited ability to communicate and his unfamiliarity with danger, Luke had vanished into the embrace of the wilderness. The day had turned on its head, the serene setting now a vast expanse of uncertainty. Once bound by the joy of their outing, the family was now united in a singular, harrowing purpose: to find Luke. As the hours ticked by, the gravity of the situation set in. Luke was alone in the wilderness, caught between his innocent curiosity and the daunting reality of nature's indifference. They combed the national park tirelessly, aided by campers and civilian volunteers who came in droves, drawn by the boy's plight. The discovery of his beanie near Devil's Cove was a glimmer of hope, a tangible piece of him that suggested he had wandered away from the water. Amid the sprawling search effort, it was the keen eye of Acting Sergeant Brad Pascoe from the police air wing that spotted the nearly invisible flash in the dense scrub. The helicopter turned, hearts pounding as the crew zoomed in on what appeared to be a small, solitary figure. It was Luke, sitting on sloped ground, a sight that brought tears and relief in equal measure. The moment of discovery was charged with emotion. Luke, found off Skyline Road about 3 kilometers from where he had last been seen, was a testament to survival. His body bore the marks of his ordeal: exhaustion, hypothermia, dehydration, and the countless mosquito bites and scratches from thorn bushes that told the silent story of his 6-day struggle in the wilderness. Rescuers wrapped him in a foil blanket, a symbolic gesture of warmth and protection, as they offered him water and a bread roll. Luke's inability to communicate did not diminish the miracle of his survival. He had navigated steep rocks and dense scrub, enduring cold nights with temperatures as low as 3 degrees Celsius, all while his speech limitations cloaked the details of his incredible journey in mystery. As Luke was stretchered out, his mother's kiss and the foil blanket wrapped around him became symbols of a family reunited against the odds. The community's joy was palpable. Their relief echoed in the songs and dances that greeted Luke's return. In the embrace of early morning, beneath the towering gaze of Mount Everest, Srinivas Sainas Dattatreya stood at the threshold of destiny. It was May 18, 2023, a date that would mark his ascent into history and mystery. Hailing from Singapore, Srinivas was more than just another name in the long list of Everest aspirants. He was a beacon of hope, a silent warrior battling against the odds, a deaf-mute climber aiming to etch his story on the unforgiving slopes of the world's highest peak. Everest was more than a mountain for Srinivas. It was a dream that had whispered to him through the years, a challenge that spoke to the depths of his spirit. On that fateful day, as the sun broke through the shroud of darkness, Srinivas embarked on his journey, his heart laden with aspirations and his soul alight with the flame of adventure. The base camp buzzed with activity, a symphony of climbers and Sherpas, each engrossed in their preparation rituals. Amidst them, Srinivas stood out, not just for the silence that enveloped him, but for the determination that shone in his eyes. With every step he took, he carried the hopes of those who dared to dream, despite their disabilities, proving that the spirit knows no bounds. As he ascended, the air grew thinner, the path steeper, and the world around him transformed into a landscape of ice and snow. The beauty of Everest unfurled before him, a realm where the earth kissed the sky, a place of serene majesty and lurking danger. With each breath, Srinivas felt the weight of his dream pressing down upon him, yet his resolve never wavered. The climb was grueling, a test of endurance and will, but Srinivas moved with a grace born of sheer willpower. He had trained for this moment, his body and mind honed for the battle against altitude and elements. With his guide, Chaturman Rai, by his side, he scaled heights that few dare to reach. But Everest, in all its splendor, holds secrets in its icy embrace. Just beyond Camp 4, as the summit beckoned, tragedy struck. The details remained shrouded in the mists of the mountain, a tale of a fall that silenced the dreams of a brave soul. Srinivas, who had conquered so much, found himself in the grip of the mountain's merciless might. The news of his fall sent ripples of shock and grief across continents, reaching the heart of his wife, Sushma Soma, who had waited with bated breath for the call of victory. Instead, she was faced with the silence of loss, the absence of a voice that had promised to return. The search for Srinivas began, desperate to find a man who had become one with Everest. Rescuers scoured the slopes and helicopters pierced the skies, but the mountain, in its silent majesty, offered no answers. Srinivas Sainas Dattatreya, the man who climbed beyond the realm of sound and speech, had become a whisper on the wind, a memory etched in the heart of Everest. Though marked by an untimely end, his story remains a beacon of inspiration. In the pages of history, amidst tales of courage and conquest, Srinivas Sainas Dattatreya's name will stand as a testament to the undying human spirit, a reminder that dreams, no matter how lofty, are worth the climb. The large areas of the Grand Canyon, where the majestic Colorado River has carved its way through the Arizona landscape for millions of years. The year 1957 marked the mysterious disappearance of a young woman named Mary Margaret Begay. At the tender age of 20, Mary left the comfort of her home in Loop to work at the Bright Angel Lodge, a popular stop for visitors of the Grand Canyon National Park. Little did she know that her new beginning would soon turn into an enigma that would baffle investigators for decades. Mary's daily routine at the park was uneventful until one fateful day in August when she decided to enjoy a night out with 3 of her friends. They set out from their employee housing, walking to the now demolished Grand Canyon Inn, their hearts light and spirits high, eager for some relaxation after days of hard work. The evening was filled with laughter and the clinking of glasses as they indulged in the pleasure of each other's company. However, as the night wore on, Mary made a decision that would forever alter the course of her life. She was last seen getting into a vehicle with 2 men, strangers to her friends, described only as being of Hopi descent. From that moment on, Mary Margaret Begay vanished into the night, leaving behind nothing but questions and the haunting silence of her absence. The disappearance of Mary was not immediately alarming to the authorities or her employer. In a time when communication was not as instant as it is today, it was not uncommon for individuals to go off the grid for short periods of time. However, as days turned into weeks without any sign of Mary, concern began to mount. Her employer, having no tolerance for unexplained absences, terminated her position and packed away her belongings, an act that now seems cold in the light of her mysterious absence. It was only when Mary's family came to visit, expecting to find her thriving in her new environment, that the alarm was raised. They were met with the shocking reality that Mary was gone, her whereabouts unknown. The family reported her missing to the Navajo authorities, but the bureaucratic gears turned slowly, and it was not until a year later that the Coconino County Sheriff's Office became aware of Mary's case. The investigation into Mary's disappearance was complicated from the start. In October 1958, a grim discovery of skeletal remains near the Grand Canyon sparked hope that Mary might be found. However, this hope was quickly dashed when the remains were identified as belonging to a younger, non-Native American girl, dubbed Little Miss X, whose case also went cold. As the years passed, various leads and theories emerged, including speculation that Mary had chosen to start a new life away from her family in Los Angeles or Oregon. Friends and acquaintances whispered rumors of marriage and children, but every lead turned into a dead end. The investigator on Mary's case, Joe Sumner, a retired National Park Service criminal investigator, expressed his skepticism about these theories, noting Mary's close relationship with her family and the lack of any evidence to suggest she was still alive. The case of Mary Margaret Begay became a haunting presence in the annals of the Coconino County Sheriff's Office's Cold Case Unit. More than 50 years later, Mary's family members passed away, carrying the burden of her unresolved disappearance. Despite advancements in forensic science, including the collection of DNA samples from Mary's surviving sister, in an attempt to find a match, the mystery remained unsolved. The search for Mary's remains and the quest for answers continued, with the hope that one day, closure could be provided to her surviving relatives. In the grand scheme of things, Mary's story is a poignant reminder of the countless individuals who disappear without a trace, leaving behind families and communities grappling with endless questions. It underscores the challenges faced by law enforcement in solving cold cases and the importance of never giving up hope. As the narrative of Mary Margaret Begay unfolds, it weaves a tale of mystery, loss, and the relentless search for truth, set against the backdrop of one of America's most breathtaking natural wonders.
In the heart of spring 2017, Banff National Park was as breathtaking as always, with towering mountains and endless forests that seemed to hold countless secrets. Among these secrets was soon to be the mysterious disappearance of William Linsky, a 21-year-old student from Whistler, British Columbia, BC, who vanished without a trace. William, or Willie as his friends and family fondly called him, was a bright young man with a passion for computer programming. Studying at BCIT in Vancouver, he was nearing the completion of his course with dreams and aspirations for the future. Life was routine in the Linsky household until one April when everything changed. On the evening of April 12th, Willie boarded a Greyhound bus to Edmonton, a journey captured by the unblinking eye of a CCTV camera. This footage would be his last confirmed sighting, starting a chain of events that led to more questions than answers. The following day, Willie checked into the Century Casino Hotel in Edmonton. It was a move that puzzled everyone who knew him, as he had no known connections in Alberta. Then on April 14th, a ping from his cell phone in Calgary offered a fleeting hope, quickly dashed when it became the last activity recorded from him. Back in Whistler, his family was engulfed in worry. His brother was the first to notice Willie had yet to come home. The silence from his phone and the sudden halt of activity on his social media and bank accounts deepened the mystery. The Vancouver police, upon tracing the cell phone ping to Calgary, prematurely closed their investigation, leaving the Linsky family in despair. Months passed with no word from or about Willie until a surprising discovery in Banff ignited hope. His ID was found hidden within the cushions of a couch in Cascade Plaza Mall. This seemingly insignificant clue was monumental for Willie's mother, Heather. It was a tangible piece of her son, found miles from where he was last seen. Driven by a mother's undying hope, Heather traveled from Whistler to Banff. Her mission was clear: to find any trace of her son. With its similarities to Whistler, Banff felt like a place Willie could be drawn to. Heather's days were spent talking to locals, putting up posters and retracing the steps that her son might have taken. Each poster she placed was a call for help, a mother's plea to the world to bring her boy back. The streets of Banff, usually a haven for tourists seeking adventure, became the backdrop for a story of love, hope, and the anguish of the unknown. As the search for William Linsky stretched, the absence of concrete evidence or sightings since discovering his ID in Banff deepened the mystery. Was Willie's disappearance a deliberate act of starting anew, or was something more sinister at play? The lack of clear answers painted a picture that was as baffling as it was distressing. One prevailing theory suggested that Willie might have been experiencing the onset of schizophrenia. Given his age, it was a plausible explanation, yet those who knew him best couldn't recall any signs of such struggles. The sudden nature of his departure, leaving behind all forms of contact and financial activity, didn't fit the pattern of someone grappling with such internal turmoil. Or perhaps it did in ways not yet understood, adding layers to the mystery. Another speculation was that Willie had ventured into the unknown to meet someone he had connected with online. In the digital age, where relationships and identities can be as fluid as the rivers that carve through the landscapes of Banff and Whistler, could Willie have sought an escape or an adventure with a stranger? All of these elements wove a complex tapestry of questions without answers. As Heather walked the streets, her heart oscillated between hope and despair. Each new face brought a momentary leap of the heart, wondering if they might have seen Willie. Each night brought a heavy blanket of uncertainty, the pain of not knowing where her son was or if he was safe. In the end, the story of Willie is a mosaic of possibilities, a narrative unfinished, waiting for the missing piece that might one day emerge from the shadows to illuminate the truth.
In the shadow of the world's highest peaks, where the air whispers secrets of ancient ice and stone, Suhajda Zillard embarked on a journey that would etch his name into the annals of mountaineering history. It was May 2023, a year that would be remembered for its achievements and the heartbreaking tales of those who dared to challenge the mighty Everest. Among them was Zillard, a lone Hungarian climber with a spirit as indomitable as the mountains he sought to conquer. Zillard was not just another climber. He was a dreamer, driven by a passion for the mountains that bordered on reverence. His goal was audacious: to scale Mount Everest without supplemental oxygen or a personal Sherpa guide. If achieved, this feat would place him among the world's elite climbers, a testament to human endurance and willpower. On the eve of his ascent, the base camp buzzed with anticipation and anxiety. In all their majestic beauty, the Himalayas were unforgiving, a realm where nature dictated the terms of survival. Zillard's determination was unwavering. He had prepared for this moment for months, acclimatizing his body to the thin air, mapping his route, and mentally steeling himself for the challenges ahead. The morning of May 24th dawned clear and cold, the sun casting a golden glow over the snow-capped peaks. Zillard set off from Camp 4, his figure soon swallowed by the vast expanse of ice and rock. The only lifeline connecting him to the world below was a satellite phone and a GPS tracker. which seemed almost insignificant in the face of Everest's enormity. Hours into his climb, Szilard reached the balcony, a small plateau that offered a brief respite from the relentless ascent. He contacted his team, his voice crackling through the satellite phone. "I'm feeling strong. The weather is good." His voice was optimistic, a belief that the summit was within reach. But as the day wore on, Szilard's silence became deafening. The GPS tracker, his constant companion, sent its last signal from an elevation of 8,795 meters. After that, nothing. The hours turned into days, and the hope that had once burned brightly began to dim. The search for Szilard was fraught with challenges. The harsh weather conditions, the treacherous terrain, and the sheer scale of the mountain made every step a gamble. A team of Sherpas, experienced climbers who knew Everest's every mood and whim, was dispatched. They scoured Szilard's route, their eyes straining for any sign of the lone climber. As the news of Szilard's disappearance spread, sorrow engulfed the mountaineering community. Szilard had been more than a climber. He had been an inspiration, a symbol of what it meant to pursue one's dreams with every fiber of one's being. Back home, Szilard's family and friends clung to hope, their hearts heavy with the knowledge that the mountain he loved might have claimed him as its own. His wife, Timea Legindi, spoke of her unwavering trust in her husband's strength and the miracles the mountains could bestow. The search for Szilard continued each day, a testament to the resolve of those who refused to give up. But as the season turned and the mountain prepared to cloak itself in winter's embrace, the reality of the situation sank in. Suhajda Szilard, the solo Hungarian climber who had dared to face Everest without oxygen, had become part of the mountain's legend. His story a poignant reminder of the fine line between triumph and tragedy in the high Himalayas.
It was about 2:15 p.m. on May 1st, 2021, when Magdalena Mukutui boarded a Cessna single-engine propeller plane with her 4 children, Leslie, Soleni, Tien, and Christine. Departing from the Amazonian village of Araraquara, their destination was Bogota, a journey that held the promise of a new beginning. None of them had a single idea of what was awaiting them in the future. Mid-flight, tragedy struck as the plane encountered engine failure, hurtling towards the dense canopy of the Colombian rainforest below. The crash claimed the lives of Magdalena, the pilot, and another passenger, leaving the children orphaned and stranded amidst the unforgiving wilderness. For days, the Colombian military, aided by indigenous volunteers and specialized search teams, searched the thick rainforest in search of the missing children. The dense undergrowth, coupled with the constant threat of predators and armed groups, posed significant risks and challenges to the search efforts. With days and weeks passing by, the search intensified as rumors emerged, offering tantalizing clues of the children's whereabouts. Remains of fruit with small human bite marks, scattered nappies, and other remnants hinted at their survival, causing the search parties to be more determined to locate them soon enough. Despite the odds stacked against them, the children tapped into their own knowledge of survival, relying on skills that they didn't even know they had. Foraging for food, seeking shelter, and evading predators, they defied the odds through sheer determination and resourcefulness. While they were still missing, survival became a daily struggle. The eldest, Leslie, took charge, leading her siblings in the search for sustenance. They relied on their knowledge of edible fruits and seeds, and carefully navigated through the forest despite the dangers such as wild animals that may harm or attack them. Amidst the dense foliage, they found refuge beneath the towering trees, fashioning makeshift shelters from banana leaves and plastic tarps. The constant rain soaked their clothes, but they tried their best to stay positive, huddling together for warmth and protection against the potential threats of nature. Water, a vital necessity, was sourced from nearby streams and rivers. Though fraught with the risk of contamination, they had no choice but to drink, as their survival depended on quenching their thirst. Their bodies weakened from hunger and exhaustion as they survived in the huge rainforest. Yet they're still filled with hope that someone will find them soon. Then one day, a crackle of radios echoed through the forest, signaling a miracle. The children had been found. A collective sigh of relief swept across Colombia as images emerged of the emaciated yet resilient young children, wrapped in thermal blankets, surrounded by their rescuers. Their survival was nothing short of extraordinary. In the middle of the jungle, they had relied on their own skills and knowledge just to survive and stay alive in a dangerous place. With lots of terrifying things that could happen to them while they weren't yet found, they defied the odds. The rescue operation, aptly named Operation Hope, was a blessing to the children's remaining families. It showcased the efforts of the military personnel, indigenous guides, and volunteers who worked tirelessly to bring the children home. As they were airlifted to safety, the children's journey was far from over. In Bogota, they faced a new chapter, one of recovery and healing. Yet amidst the challenges that lay ahead, one thing remained certain. Their survival story had forever been imprinted in their minds, and would be such an amazing story to tell when they were all grown up. Today, as they undergo treatment and receive support, the children serve as an example that no matter how young or old you are, if you want to survive, you'll find ways to survive. What if they hadn't found shelter? This and other questions started to arise with the news of their disappearance and rescue. But one thing is certain. The children's story is one that we can call a miracle in modern times. In the gritty underbelly of their decades-long friendship, Chris Lee and Vida Smith shared a complex relationship intertwined with high-stakes gambling and illicit activities. Their shared passion for blackjack card counting led them to casinos worldwide, forming a bond that transcended the conventional norms of friendship. However, as the wheels of time turned, the dynamics between Lee and Smith took a dark turn. The fateful encounter unfolded in a dimly lit parking lot outside a northeast coffee shop, shrouded in desperation and betrayal. Driven by the fear of losing the $10,000 he had just handed Smith, Lee was entangled in a struggle that would forever alter the course of their intertwined lives. Gripping her neck in a frantic attempt to thwart her escape, Lee's desperate actions inadvertently transformed into a tragic demise. The silent observer, a Nissan Rogue, bore witness to the haunting scene, its presence adding an eerie backdrop to the unfolding tragedy. This gripping narrative of betrayal, financial intrigue, and a desperate struggle in the shadowy corners of a parking lot paints a poignant picture of the final moments between Chris Lee and Vida Smith. As the layers of their complex relationship unraveled, the dimly lit space became the stage for a chilling tragedy, leaving echoes of remorse and anguish in its wake. Nearly 3 years later, Banff National Park held the silent secret of Vida Smith's resting place. Inadvertently revealed by her killer, Chris Lee, the details of her demise emerged during a Calgary jury trial. Lee's conviction for manslaughter echoed through the courtroom. Still, the discovery of Smith's remains in the mountainous terrain east of the Banff town site remained mysterious. As winter conditions hampered the initial search, the location of Smith's tarped body eluded investigators. Following Lee's conviction, he guided homicide detectives to the mountains where he claimed to have left her. A snowstorm hindered the search, leaving the victim's whereabouts uncertain. Returning weeks later, detectives combed the rest stop off the eastbound Trans-Canada Highway, unraveling the grim truth. Smith's remains, concealed near the highway, added a chilling chapter to the already unsettling narrative. Yet police remained tight-lipped on whether Lee's revelations directly led to the discovery. The question haunting the trial, "Where is she?" lingered, posed by prosecutor Shane Parker. Lee's crime, compounded by hiding Smith's body, became a pivotal factor in the courtroom drama. The victim's children spoke of the anguish, the denial of dignity, and the haunting reality that their mother's body had been discarded. In the aftermath of the chilling discovery, the wheels of justice turned. Less than 2 weeks after Smith was reported missing, Lee faced charges. The once inseparable gambling partners, Lee and Smith, became entangled in a legal web. Their decades-long friendship, built on blackjack card counting and casino travels, is now a tragic tale of betrayal and murder. As Lee testified, the plot unfolded. A meeting, a deal gone awry, and an accidental chokehold leading to Smith's untimely demise. Lee, haunted by guilt, confessed to driving west after the murder, leaving Smith's tarped body in the rugged terrain near Banff or Canmore. During Lee's sentencing hearing, the courtroom echoed with the voices of Smith's children, expressing the torment of not knowing their mother's final resting place. The emotional impact resonated as they accused Lee of discarding her body callously, denying her dignity and a proper farewell. The Calgary courtroom, witness to the unfolding tragedy, rendered its judgment. Lee, convicted of manslaughter, faced the consequences of his actions. As the story reached its sad conclusion, the lingering question remained: how could a friendship built on shared passions end in such a gruesome betrayal?
Our story begins in the vast and majestic Yellowstone National Park, surrounded by rocky mountains and flowing rivers. The park was a place coordinated with wildlife and adventure. Inside the beautiful Yellowstone National Park, Darian Laddie served as a park ranger in Roosevelt Lodge. Hailing from the quiet community of Demarest in northeastern Georgia, Darian was on a thrilling summer escapade as a seasonal employee at the lodge. On August 11, 2014, Darian and two fellow Yellowstone National Park concessionaire colleagues went on an unusual adventure. They were holding inner tubes in their hands. They planned to float down the calm Lamar River, surrounded by the captivating beauty of bison and the excitement of late summer anglers. When they started their float in Lamar River, they didn't prefer to use inner tubes as the water was very calm and there was no need for the tubes. However, the pace of their float took an unexpected turn as they entered the confluence of Lamar and Yellowstone rivers, still raging with high and fast waters. Sensing danger, they promptly left the river, but Darian did not follow suit. When Darian saw the confluence of strong and angry waves, he regretted his decision not to use the inner tube. The situation worsened as he was also not wearing the life jacket. Without the inner tube and lacking a life jacket, he was last seen at 7:30 p.m. on that unfortunate Monday, helplessly propelled downstream by the rushing waters. The trio had gone against the rules by venturing into the forbidden activity of floating the river. The authorities were now faced with the pressing concern of finding young Darian, who had become a victim of the ferocity of the mighty Yellowstone River. As the news of Darian's disappearance spread like wildfire, a quick and efficient search effort started on that Monday evening. Over 50 individuals, including search and rescue teams with a helicopter, 3 dog teams, and groups of foot searchers, dedicated themselves to unraveling the mystery of Darian's whereabouts. During this search, a sense of desperation fell upon everyone under the expansive skies of Yellowstone National Park. The searchers faced difficulties because of the Yellowstone River's extreme environment and erratic behavior. Every step was a reflection of their mutual commitment to finish the search. The helicopter blades slashed through the air, throwing shadows across the ground. It was a symbol of hope in the mystery of Darian's absence. As night fell, the search became more intense, and the combined efforts of multiple teams created an image of devotion. With their sharp senses tuned to any hint, the 3 dog teams searched the park, bringing expertise to the hunt. Searchers on foot navigated the park's varied habitat, walking through deep forests and along riverbanks, looking for any indications of the missing individual. The authorities were united in the attempt to locate Darian and reveal the truth shrouded inside the broad boundaries of Yellowstone National Park, as evidenced by the coordinated efforts of everybody involved. Days passed, and the suspense heightened as late on Friday, August 15, 2014, searchers glimpsed what seemed to be a submerged body pinned to a large rock in a rugged section of the Yellowstone River. The discovery was approximately a quarter-mile downstream from Darian's last sighting. The body was found, however, it was not possible to get to the body because of the ferocity of the river. The search took a decisive turn on Saturday when a swiftwater rescue team from Gallatin County, Montana, joined the team. Along with kayaks and a raft anchored to both riverbanks, they navigated the treacherous waters to dislodge and recover Darian's lifeless body. The remote area posed challenges, but a helicopter proved instrumental in removing his body from this inaccessible terrain. That Saturday evening, the sad task of identification fell to the coroner. For days, the gripping mystery of Yellowstone National Park was resolved, but Darian Laddie's ill-fated journey remained a cautionary story. In the center of the gorgeous national park, Where the Lamar River Valley echoes with the whispers of wildlife, the memory of Darien's adventurous spirit became a part of the park's history. The authorities reinforced the importance of adhering to safety guidelines, turning Darien's tragic tale into a cautionary reminder for all who love exploring nature's untamed beauty. The story also describes the importance of obeying the orders and rules issued by the authorities. The authorities know better how to manage the safety of people and wildlife. The employees must follow guidelines and precautions. In the heart of Kenya's sprawling wilderness, nestled within Tsavo National Park's vast landscapes, a tale of survival, hope, and miraculous discovery unfolds. This story begins with 4-year-old Ayub, whose adventure in the wild would captivate hearts and underscore the indomitable spirit of human resilience. Tsavo National Park, established in 1948, is a realm where nature's rule is absolute. Spanning over vast territories, it's home to the formidable Big Five: lions, leopards, elephants, buffalo, and rhinos. Its untamed landscapes, part of Africa's majestic wilderness, serve as a backdrop to Ayub's incredible journey. While a sanctuary for diverse wildlife, the park is also known for human-wildlife conflicts, a testament to the delicate balance between humans and nature in this region. On a day like any other in January 2023, young Ayub, living in Asa Village in Makueni County, ventured with his brothers to tend to their family's cattle, a routine deeply ingrained in those who lived near Tsavo. Little did anyone know that this day would begin an extraordinary saga of survival. As evening approached and a downpour veiled the park, Ayub was separated from his brothers, alone in the embrace of Tsavo's wilderness. The search for Ayub would soon mobilize a community and conservationists, drawing attention to a child's plight against the odds of nature's formidable forces. Roan Carr-Hartley, a seasoned pilot with Sheldrick Wildlife Trust, played a pivotal role in this tale. As a conservationist dedicated to preserving Kenya's natural heritage and wildlife, Roan's involvement in the search for Ayub would steer the narrative towards hope. For 5 days, Roan and a team of dedicated individuals scoured the park, each passing day intensifying the urgency of their mission. On the 6th day, Roan spotted a tiny figure amidst the vastness of Tsavo from his aircraft. There stood Ayub, a symbol of innocence and resilience. His survival in such unforgiving conditions was nothing short of miraculous. The search party, guided by Roan's keen eyes, finally reached Ayub, marking an emotional reunion with humanity. Ayub's return was a personal victory for him and his family, and a moment of collective joy and relief for the entire community. The images captured by Roan, showing Ayub's rescue, spoke volumes about the ordeal he had endured and the collective effort that brought him back home. The aftermath of Ayub's rescue brought about profound changes. His family, overwhelmed with gratitude, renamed him Roan to honor the pilot who played a crucial role in his survival. The community's awarding of a goat to Roan symbolized their deep appreciation and respect for his efforts. Ayub's tale transcends mere survival. It's a narrative enriched with the themes of human connection, the kindness of strangers, and the relentless spirit of a child against the backdrop of nature's grandeur. In Tsavo National Park, where the wild reigns supreme, a young boy's story of survival adds a heartening chapter to its legacy, reminding us of the incredible resilience within the human spirit.
In the heart of the Canadian Rockies, amidst the sprawling wilderness of Banff National Park, a tale of bravery, passion, and mystery unfolds. It's the story of Sergeant Mark Celeste, a 44-year-old search and rescue technician from 435 Transport and Rescue Squadron, based at 17 Wing, Winnipeg, whose life was a testament to service, adventure, and an undying love for the mountains. On a crisp February morning in 2015, Mark set out with his team for a routine mountain training exercise on the icy expanse of Polar Circus, a well-known frozen waterfall ice climb on the park's northern end. Known to his peers as a seasoned climber and a man of exceptional skill, Mark was the embodiment of dedication. This figure had served his country with honor, from Africa to Croatia, and found solace and thrill in embracing nature. But as the daylight waned on that fateful Thursday afternoon, an unexpected avalanche swept through the Polar Circus route. A monstrous cascade of snow and ice caught Mark in its path. The incident, occurring around 6 p.m., plunged the team into chaos and fear, marking the beginning of a search that would grip the hearts of many nationwide. Liz Quinn, Mark's mother, stood hundreds of miles away in Moncton, New Brunswick, her heart heavy with a mother's intuition that something was amiss. Her words, filled with hope and dread, echoed the sentiments of a family bracing for the worst. Mark's passion for the mountains was unparalleled. He was a man who found his calling among the peaks and valleys, dedicating his career to rescuing those in peril. His training and experience, coupled with a bravery medal from the Governor General, painted a picture of a hero. Yet even heroes find themselves at the mercy of nature's unpredictable fury. As the search turned into a recovery operation, the conditions on Polar Circus proved formidable. Avalanche hazards, deteriorating weather, and the cloak of nightfall hampered the initial rescue efforts. After an extensive search through the avalanche debris, Mark's climbing partner found no sign of him, descending alone with a heart weighed down by uncertainty and sorrow. The community rallied, with visitor safety specialists from Banff, Yoho, Kootenay, and Jasper involved in the search, and the Parks Canada warden dog handler. Explosive control work was conducted to create a safer environment for the ground search team, a testament to the relentless efforts to find Mark. Yet as days passed, the situation grew bleaker, with no visible signs of the climber and conditions too dangerous for a ground search. Mark's story is a poignant reminder of the risks faced by those who dare to confront the wild, a narrative that intertwines the beauty of the mountains with the dangerous nature of their call. His passion for flight, his career as a helicopter pilot in the making, and his love for adventure defined a life lived on the edge, a life dedicated to pushing the limits of human endurance and spirit. As theories about his disappearance circulated, from the possibility of a freak accident to the harsh judgment of nature, the mystery of what truly happened to Mark Celeste on that icy slope remains. Did he fall victim to an unseen hazard, or did the mountain claim one of its most ardent admirers in a moment of fury? The story of Sergeant Mark Celeste is a tapestry of courage, mystery, and the unfathomable depths of a mother's love. It's a narrative that resonates with the echoes of his laughter, the memories of his bravery, and the silent, snow-covered expanse of Polar Circus, where the spirit of a man who lived and breathed for the mountains continues to soar. In the heart of the Great Smoky Mountains National Park, where the trees reach for the sky and the streams sing their ancient songs, there lived a woman named Thelma Pauline Melton. But to her friends and those who knew her well, she was simply Polly, a name that seemed to dance on the breeze, a name that carried with it the echoes of laughter and joy. Polly was no stranger to the mountains. For over 2 decades, she had called these majestic peaks her home away from home, her sanctuary amidst the chaos of the world. Each year, when the leaves turned to gold and the air grew crisp with the promise of autumn, Polly would pack her bags and make the journey to the Deep Creek campground, nestled at the base of the North Carolina side of the park. There, amidst the rustling leaves and the gentle murmur of the creek, Polly would find solace, a respite from the cares of the world, a chance to reconnect with the wilderness that stirred her soul. It was a ritual she cherished, a tradition passed down through the years like a treasured heirloom. But Polly was not alone in her love for the mountains. Accompanying her on her annual pilgrimage were her friends, Red and Trula, 2 kindred spirits bound together by a love for adventure and a thirst for discovery. Together, the trio would set out to explore the trails that crisscrossed the landscape, their laughter ringing out like the call of the wild. On that fateful Friday in September 1981, as the sun dipped low on the horizon and the shadows grew long, Polly and her friends embarked on their latest adventure, a hike along the Deep Creek Trail, a path well-trodden yet filled with the promise of new discoveries. As they walked, the air was alive with the scent of pine and the chatter of wildlife. The forest was alive with the hum of life. Polly's heart beat with excitement, her steps quickening with each passing moment as she drank in the beauty of her surroundings. For her, the mountains were more than just a place. They were a part of her, woven into the very fabric of her being. And so, with each step, Polly felt herself drawn deeper into the heart of the wilderness, her spirit soaring on the wings of freedom. She moved with a grace born of familiarity, her feet finding purchase on the rocky trail as if guided by some unseen hand. As they walked, Polly's companions marveled at her ease, her laughter ringing out like the call of a bird in flight. For Red and Trula, who had known Polly for many years, her joy was a sight to behold, a reminder of the magic that lay waiting in the embrace of the mountains. But amidst the laughter and the camaraderie, there lurked a shadow, a sense of unease that whispered through the trees like a ghost in the night. It was a feeling that Polly could not shake, a sense that something lurked just beyond the edge of her vision, waiting to pounce. Yet still she pressed on, her curiosity outweighing her fear, her spirit undaunted by the mysteries that lay ahead. For Polly, the mountains held no secrets too dark, no challenges too great. She moved with a confidence born of years spent wandering the trails, her footsteps echoing through the silent woods like a promise of things to come. And then, as the sun dipped below the horizon and the shadows lengthened, Polly quickened her pace, her heart pounding in her chest like the beat of a drum. She felt a pull, a tug at the edges of her consciousness that urged her onward toward some unknown destination. With each step, she felt the weight of the world fall away, her senses sharpening as if honed by some unseen force. She moved with purpose, her feet carrying her forward with a determination that bordered on desperation. And then, as suddenly as a bolt of lightning rends the sky, Polly vanished from sight, disappearing over a rise in the trail like a wisp of smoke carried away by the wind. Red and Trula called out to her, their voices swallowed by the vast expanse of the forest. But there was no answer, only the hollow echo of their own fear. In the hours that followed, panic gripped the hearts of Polly's companions, spreading like wildfire through the close-knit community that called these mountains home. Park rangers and volunteers alike scoured the wilderness in search of their missing friend, their footsteps echoing through the silent woods like a desperate plea for answers. But Polly remained elusive, her whereabouts shrouded in mystery, her fate a riddle yet unsolved. In the days that followed, whispers of speculation drifted through the air like the scent of rain on the wind. Was Polly kidnapped, whisked away by unseen hands into the depths of the unknown? Did she succumb to the perils of the wilderness, lost amidst the labyrinth of trees and shadows? Or, as some whispered in hushed tones, did she orchestrate her own disappearance? A vanishing act fueled by a longing for freedom, a desire to escape the burdens of her past? Months turned into years, the seasons shifting like the sands of time. But still, Polly's fate remained a mystery, a puzzle with no solution, a story with no end. Yet amidst the uncertainty, one thing remained clear. Polly's spirit lingered on, a whisper in the wind, a shadow in the trees, a reminder of the mysteries that lurk within the heart of the wilderness. In the shadowed embrace of Banff National Park, where the mountains stand as timeless guardians over secrets untold, a chilling mystery unfolded in the spring of 2019. Three climbers, Jess Roskeli from America and Austrians David Lama and Hans-Jörg Auer, embarked on a journey that would etch their names into the lore of the mountains, not for their triumphs, but for their sudden disappearance. These were no ordinary climbers. They were among the elite individuals who had conquered peaks that most could only dream of. Their quest was Howse Peak, a formidable challenge even for the most seasoned alpinists. The trio, bound by a shared passion for climbing, aimed to tackle the east face of Howse Peak, a route that promised glory but was fraught with peril. As they set out, the park was alive with the sounds of nature, oblivious to human endeavor. Back home, their families waited, familiar with the mixture of pride and worry that came with loving an adventurer. The climber's journey into the heart of the mountains was a leap into the unknown, driven by an insatiable urge to confront the raw power of the wild. A silence fell over the expected communications the day after they were last seen. Concern grew into alarm, and soon a search was underway. Parks Canada's response was swift, but they found it disheartening. A tableau of devastation wrought by an avalanche, with signs of the climber's passage abruptly ending in a maelstrom of snow and ice. The news of the avalanche hit the families like a physical blow. The waiting, filled with desperate hope for any sign of survival, was agonizing. Each day, without a word, was descending into uncertainty and despair. The climbers, who had always returned from the embrace of the mountains, now seemed to have been claimed by them. Speculation abounded in the absence of concrete answers. Some whispered of the mountain's curse, an ancient force wary of human intrusion. Others pondered the climbers' fate, wondering if a sudden shift in weather or an underestimated risk had led to the tragedy. The possibility that they had ventured off the known path, seeking to make their mark with a new route, added layers to the mystery. The families grappled with the unknown, each theory a double-edged sword offering solace and torment. The climbers' prowess was undeniable, leading some to believe that if anyone could survive the capricious wrath of the mountains, it was them. Yet as days turned into weeks, hope dimmed, overshadowed by the looming specter of loss. In the hearts of those who knew them, the climbers were remembered for their ambition and the life they breathed into their passion. Jess, with his vibrant spirit; David, the prodigy who danced on the edges of possibility; and Hansjörg, whose quiet determination spoke volumes. Their absence left a void, a silence where once there were stories of adventure and laughter. In the end, the mystery of what happened to Jess Roskilly, David Lama, and Hansjörg Auer in the avalanche at Banff remains a haunting reminder of the mountain's sovereignty over human endeavors. Their story, woven into the fabric of the park's history, is a testament to the allure and danger of the world's high places. For their families, the absence of definitive answers does little to quell the ache of loss. Yet in the heart of every climber who follows in their footsteps, the trio's spirit endures, a beacon guiding those who continue to seek the thrill of the ascent amidst the beauty and terror of the mountains. In the rugged expanse of Banff National Park, where majestic peaks and untamed wilderness create a breathtaking backdrop, an unfortunate tale unfolded on the slopes of Mount Temple. In the middle of the challenging countryside, a 70-year-old Winnipeg man embarked on a solo hiking expedition, seeking solace and adventure. This intrepid explorer set out to conquer the Southwest Ridge climbing route, unaware that his journey would take a tragic turn. This Southwest Ridge was considered the most dangerous route among other climbing routes. As the experienced hiker ascended the challenging path of Mount Temple, the allure of the untamed wilderness surrounded him. His footsteps echoed against the rocky landscape, a testament to his resilience and determination to conquer nature's formidable obstacles. Little did he know that the unpredictable and complex nature of the mountain would soon present an impossible challenge. The rugged beauty that initially captivated him would become the setting for a terrific incident, leaving an indelible mark on the slopes of Mount Temple. According to the reports, the hiker set out on a solo expedition on September 19, 2019. With its majestic peaks, the rugged expanse of Banff witnessed the hiker's journey into the cruel wilderness. However, tragedy struck as he faced the unpredictable terrain. He suddenly got lost in the challenging slopes. When he did not return to the base camp, his fellow hikers, growing increasingly concerned, reported him missing to the nearby police station. The chilling realization that a fellow adventurer was missing prompted an urgent response from Parks Canada Visitor Safety, deploying helicopters to scour the treacherous terrain. Responding swiftly to the emergency call, the police initiated a search and rescue mission to locate the 70-year-old hiker. Searching over the bumpy slopes of Mount Temple, the searchlights revealed a sad scene. Their efforts led to the heartbreaking discovery of his lifeless body on that fateful day. The fading daylight presented a formidable challenge to the rescue efforts, testing the mettle of Parks Canada specialists and the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, RCMP. Undeterred, they started a risky operation, navigating the challenging landscape to recover his lifeless body as the first light of dawn broke on Friday. The rugged beauty that had initially drawn him into the wilderness became the backdrop for a sad event. The loss of a fellow adventurer echoed through the vast expanse of Banff, reminding all of the risks of exploring nature's unforgettable landscapes. The RCMP, shrouded in a veil of discretion, withheld details regarding the cause of his death. The mysterious circumstances surrounding his death left investigators puzzled, contemplating the untold challenges he might have encountered during his solitary trek. The decision to withhold his identity, a measure of respect for the departed, deepened the mystery surrounding the lone hiker lost in the vastness of Banff National Park. As news of the tragic incident echoed through the mountains, the hiking community grappled with the inherent risks of venturing into the untamed wilderness. The 70-year-old solitary attempt, which began with the promise of exploration, concluded in a heart-wrenching discovery reverberating through Banff National Park's rugged landscapes. It was September 1, 2014, when Edwin Chota, Leoncio, Quincima Melendez, Jorge Rios Perez, and Francisco Pinedo went on a trip through the dense Peruvian rainforest. Their mission was clear, and it was to confront the scourge of illegal logging that threatened their ancestral lands. The Amazonian rainforest, their home, was rich in hardwoods that commanded high prices on the global market. But for Chota and his companions, the forest held a deeper significance. It was their birthright, their legacy, and their lifeline. Their destination was the border of Brazil, where they intended to meet with Ashaninka villagers to discuss the growing concern of illegal logging. Chota, a fierce advocate for indigenous rights, had dedicated his life to protecting the land and the people who depended on it for their survival. But as they went deeper into the heart of the rainforest, they knew that their path was fraught with danger. The illegal loggers, driven by greed and fueled by corruption, would stop at nothing to protect their illicit trade. And so it was that on that day, as they approached the Ashaninka village, their worst fears were realized. A group of armed loggers intercepted them, their weapons poised and their intentions clear. In a desperate bid to defend themselves, Chota and his companions fought bravely, but they were outnumbered and outgunned. The sound of gunfire echoed through the forest afterwards. Chota and his companions lay lifeless, their bodies left to rot in the unforgiving embrace of the rainforest. Their death spread through the indigenous communities of the Amazon, casting a pall of grief and outrage over those who had looked to Chota as a champion of their cause. For the families of the victims, the pain was unbearable, their loved ones taken from them in the prime of their lives, their voices silenced for what they stood for. In the aftermath of the massacre, the Peruvian government was forced to confront the harsh realities of life in the rainforest. Corruption ran rampant, and the rule of law often seemed like a distant dream. But the deaths of Chota and his companions could not be ignored. They were a reminder of the dangers faced by those who dared to challenge the forces of greed and exploitation that threatened to overpower the Amazon. As the news of the killing spread, outrage swept across the globe. Environmental activists and human rights organizations condemned the violence, calling for justice for the victims and accountability for those responsible. The spotlight turned to Peru, where the struggle for justice in the Amazon took on new urgency. Justice began to take shape. 2 men were arrested in connection with the murders, marking a tentative step towards accountability. But for the families of the victims, the wounds remained raw, their cries for justice still loud. As the investigation unfolded, reports emerged of pervasive corruption and violence in Peru's Amazonian rainforest. Death and corruption were rampant, with illegal logging and drug trafficking driving the local economy. But amid the darkness, there remained hope. The lives of Edwin Chota and his companions lived on in the hearts of those who refused to be silenced, their voices ringing out across the vast expanse of the rainforest. Their deaths had sparked a global outcry, shining a spotlight on the plight of indigenous communities and the urgent need for action. In the heart of the Great Smoky Mountains National Park lies a place of serene beauty and ancient mystery, Cades Cove. This picturesque valley, surrounded by towering peaks and dense forests, has long been a haven for adventurers and nature enthusiasts alike. Among its visitors are the Martin family, whose ties to the land run deep, echoing the footsteps of generations past. Cades Cove, with its lush meadows and winding trails, offers a sanctuary from the hustle and bustle of modern life. It is a place where time seems to stand still and the natural world reigns supreme. For the Martin family, it is a place of tradition and heritage, a place where the bonds of family are forged amidst the splendor of the wilderness. On a warm summer's day, June 14, 1969, the Martins set out on a journey into the heart of the mountains. Led by patriarch Clyde Martin, they embarked on a trek along the Anthony Creek Trail, a path well worn by generations of travelers before them. With them were Clyde's son William and grandsons Doug and Dennis, as well as family friend Carter Martin, Ph.D., and his 2 sons. As they made their way through the forest, the Martins reveled in the beauty of their surroundings. The air was alive with the chirping of birds and the rustling of leaves, while the scent of pine and wildflowers filled their nostrils. It was a day like any other, a day filled with laughter, camaraderie, and the promise of adventure. The trail wound its way ever upward, leading the Martins deeper into the embrace of the mountains. Along the way, they passed by rushing streams and towering trees, their branches reaching skyward like fingers seeking the heavens. It was a scene of breathtaking beauty, a testament to the power and majesty of nature. But amidst the beauty of their surroundings, a sense of unease began to settle over the Martins like a dark cloud on the horizon. For young Dennis Martin, the youngest member of the group, something felt amiss, a feeling of foreboding that he couldn't quite shake. Despite his misgivings, Dennis pressed on, eager to prove himself to his older brother and cousins. With each step he took, the sense of unease grew stronger, until it felt as though a weight was pressing down upon his chest, suffocating him with its intensity. As the day wore on and the sun began its descent towards the horizon, the Martins found themselves ensconced in the meadow of Spence Field, a small patch of grass nestled amidst the towering peaks. Here they paused to rest, the weariness of the journey weighing heavy upon their shoulders. In the midst of their reprieve, Dennis, unable to contain his youthful exuberance, dashed off into the forest, his laughter echoing through the trees like the tinkling of bells on a summer breeze. Little did he know, it would be the last time his family would ever see him alive. As the hours passed and evening descended upon the mountains, a sense of dread settled over the Martins like a shroud. Dennis had yet to return, and as the minutes turned into hours, their fear grew with each passing moment. William Martin, his heart heavy with foreboding, called out into the gathering darkness, his voice echoing through the silent forest. But there was no answer, no sign of the boy who had vanished without a trace. In the days that followed, the mountains echoed with the cries of the search parties, their voices lost amidst the vast expanse of wilderness that stretched out before them. Despite their best efforts, Dennis Martin remained elusive, his fate shrouded in mystery. In the years since that fateful day, countless theories have emerged, each more chilling than the last. Some believe that Dennis fell victim to the treacherous terrain, lost amidst the labyrinthine maze of mountains and valleys. Others whisper of darker forces at play, a shadowy figure lurking in the depths of the forest, waiting to snatch away unsuspecting prey. Years passed, but the memory of Dennis Martin never faded from the minds of those who knew him. Clyde and his family continued to visit Cades Cove, though the specter of that fateful day hung heavy over their heads like a storm cloud on the horizon. For William Martin, the loss of his youngest son was a wound that never fully healed. He often found himself wandering the trails of the Great Smoky Mountains, searching for some trace of the boy he had lost. But no matter how far he roamed or how hard he searched, Dennis remained forever out of reach, a ghostly presence haunting the depths of his soul. But despite their best efforts, the mystery of Dennis Martin's fate remained unsolved. And as the years turned into decades, the memory of the boy who vanished without a trace faded from the collective consciousness, lost amidst the ever-shifting sands of time. But for those who knew him, Dennis Martin would never be forgotten. His memory lived on in the hearts and minds of those who loved him, a beacon of light shining through the darkness, a reminder of the fragility of life and the fleeting nature of existence.
In the vast boundaries of Yellowstone National Park, where nature's wonders meet danger, a tragic tale unfolded on June 7, 2016. Colin Scott, a recent psychology graduate, and his sister Sable went on a journey that would take them beyond the safety of prescribed paths. Colin, a young man from the scenic city of Portland, Oregon, embarked on a day trip with his sister, eager to explore the wonders of Yellowstone. Their chosen destination was the Norris Geyser Basin, renowned for its enchanting thermal pools and geysers that paint the landscape with nature's vivid palette. Fueled by excitement and curiosity, the siblings set out on a journey that would tragically veer into dangerous territory. Despite clear warnings and designated paths marked for the safety of visitors, Colin and his sister chose a different route, deviating from the prescribed boardwalk. Venturing into the forbidden landscape, they unknowingly stepped into an area where the geothermal wonders held not only a lure, but also concealed the potential for grave danger. The stage was set for an unfortunate turn of events in this forbidden territory, where the Earth's internal forces met the surface. Sable documented their forbidden exploration with a smartphone. As they approached a hot pool, tragedy struck. Colin, kneeling to gauge the spring's temperature, slipped and fell into the scalding waters. Within a matter of seconds, the boiling hot spring claimed the life of young 23-year-old Colin. In the absence of mobile phone service, Sable faced a desperate situation. Forced to leave the basin for help, she rushed to the nearby Ranger Museum, hoping that assistance would arrive in time to save her brother. Park officials, alerted to the incident, faced grim circumstances when they reached the spring. Remnants of Colin's head, upper torso, and hands were discovered, but the extreme conditions, a scorching 100 degrees Celsius or 212 degrees Fahrenheit spring, and an impending lightning storm, thwarted recovery efforts. The following morning, as officials returned to the spring, the cruel reality of nature's power was unveiled. The acidic pool had completely dissolved Colin's body, leaving only a few personal belongings, a haunting testament to the danger that lurks within Yellowstone's thermal wonders. As the echoes of the tragic event resonated in the wilderness, Yellowstone served as a sad reminder of the importance of respecting nature's boundaries. The forbidden journey of Colin and Sable Scott, captured in a few fleeting moments, unfolded as a cautionary tale of the dangers beneath the park's breathtaking surface. After this heart-wrenching incident, Yellowstone National Park reinforced the importance of adhering to safety guidelines. Beautiful yet dangerous thermal springs stand as a testament to the delicate balance. In June of 2023, a young firefighter named Maxim Mikasev vanished during a forest fire in the Krasnoyarsk territory. He was just 21 years old. Now let's break down what happened. Maxim was on duty with his team, battling a forest fire in the remote Tasivsky district. It was a tough job, but he was dedicated to protecting the wilderness he loved. Then, on the night of June 20th, things took a turn for the worse. During dinner, tensions rose among the firefighters. Some say it was because of alcohol. Whatever the reason, a fight broke out, and Maxim was in the middle of it. With fists flying and tempers flaring, he decided to leave. He didn't take his phone or any of his stuff. He just walked off into the forest, barefoot and alone. When his colleagues realized he was gone, they searched for him. They called out his name, but there was no answer. As the sun started to rise, they knew they had to do something. They called the police and the rescue teams, hoping they could find Maxim before it was too late. The search was intense. Rescuers ventured through the forest looking for any sign of Maxim. They used dogs to sniff out his scent and helicopters to search from above. But despite their efforts, there was no trace of him. As time passed, Maxim's family grew more desperate for answers. His mother, Evgenia Makovetskaya, turned to social media, begging for help. She couldn't understand why her son would just disappear like that. She was sure something terrible had happened to him. In October, the search resumed with even more people involved. They covered hundreds of kilometers, searching every inch of the forest. But still, there was no sign of Maxim. Now, let's talk about the theories. Some people think Maxim got lost in the forest. Maybe he wandered off and couldn't find his way back. Others believe he was attacked by an animal, like a bear or a wolf. And then there are those who think something more sinister happened. They say Maxim's colleagues had something to do with his disappearance. Maybe they hurt him and then covered it up. Throughout this mysterious disappearance, the community joined in the relentless search effort. Maxim's story became a haunting mystery that gripped the hearts of many. Days passed that eventually turned into months, but Maxim's whereabouts remained a mystery lost in the wilderness. The changing seasons painted the forest in different hues, but the truth behind Maxim's disappearance remained hidden. surrounded by uncertainty and speculation. Each passing day brought a new theory, a new possibility, but no definitive answers. So what if Maxime really did get lost in the forest? What if he's out there somewhere, scared and alone, waiting to be found? Or what if he was attacked by an animal? It's a terrifying thought, but it could explain why there's been no sign of him. And then there's the possibility that someone hurt him. It's a chilling idea, but until Maxime is found, we won't know for sure what happened to him. The mystery of his disappearance lingers, haunting those who knew him and leaving a void that can only be filled by the truth. A story of heartache and unresolved mystery unfolds in the vast expanse of Kakadu National Park, nestled in the Northern Territory of Australia. It's a tale that begins in 1986 under the enormous Australian sky, where the vibrant life of a young man named Norman Lawson intersects with the unforgiving forces of nature. Norman, a 16-year-old with dreams as vast as the landscapes he grew up in, carried the spirit of adventure and a deep connection to his indigenous roots. His family, particularly his sister Susan, saw in him a protector, a caring soul with aspirations beyond the confines of their nomadic upbringing. The Lawson siblings, including their brother Murray, shared a bond forged in the fires of life's trials, moving through the vast terrains of the Northern Territory, learning the ways of the land from their father, a proud man of the Iman people. Norman's life was a mosaic of ambition and cultural heritage. Despite his youth, he had already ventured into the world of entrepreneurship, starting a timber and fencing business with dreams of furthering his education to become a doctor or a lawyer. His goal was to give back to his community, to stand as a beacon of hope and assistance for those in need. In October 1986, Norman Lawson, age 16, embarked on a trip with 4 friends into Kakadu National Park, aiming to explore the remote area near Old Jim Jim Road, close to the South Alligator River. This location, celebrated for its stunning natural beauty, is also known for the presence of saltwater crocodiles, adding an element of danger to their adventure. However, this journey took a dire turn. Norman did not return like any other trip. The group had ventured into the wilderness, eager to experience the raw and untamed environment, but when it was time to head back, Norman was nowhere to be found. His disappearance in the vast and wild park became a long-standing, unresolved mystery. The days following Norman's disappearance were fraught with anguish and desperation. Susan, who was 17 at the time, grappled with the unbearable pain of loss. Upon realizing Norman did not return as expected, their father alerted the authorities, igniting a search that spanned 5 days. The family fought tirelessly for every resource, including helicopters to be deployed in the search for Norman, but to no avail. He was never found. Following Norman Lawson's vanishing in 1986 during a trip to Kakadu National Park, a cloud of speculation and mystery shrouded his disappearance. The official inquest 3 years later hinted at a possible crocodile attack as the cause, given the known dangers in the park. Susan's doubts opened the door to many other theories, each adding layers to the mystery. She wondered if foul play was involved, considering the peculiar circumstances surrounding his last known location and the company he was with. Norman's companions' lack of immediate action to report him missing raised questions. Could an altercation or disagreement have led to a tragic outcome? Furthermore, the notion that Norman might have intentionally disappeared was floated. Given his deep connection to the land and desire for a simpler life, some pondered if he chose to vanish, starting anew under an assumed identity. Another theory speculated about an accidental misstep or injury that left Norman unable to return, perhaps succumbing to the elements before help could reach him. The discussion of these theories, while providing no definitive answers, keeps the memory of Norman Lawson alive, turning his story into a tapestry woven with threads of speculation, hope, and the enduring mystery of his fate in the wilds of Kakadu National Park. The mystery of his disappearance lingers in the vast landscapes of Kakadu National Park, where Norman once roamed. The search for him has become a part of the park's lore, a sad reminder of nature's unpredictability and the fragility of life. For Susan, the quest for closure is intertwined with her love for her brother, a bond that not even time can erode. She carries the weight of this unresolved chapter, hoping for the day she can finally understand what happened on that fateful trip in 1986.
In the lush embrace of the Great Smoky Mountains National Park, a group of eager high school students from Bearden High School embarked on an adventure on a crisp Friday morning in October 1976. Among them was Teresa Trenny Lynn Gibson, a spirited 16-year-old with an infectious enthusiasm for nature and a passion for landscape architecture. The day began with a sense of anticipation as the students boarded the school bus bound for Clingman's Dome, the highest peak in the Smokies. Trenny, with her long brown hair and sparkling green eyes, was filled with excitement at the prospect of exploring the majestic wilderness with her classmates. Little did she know that this excursion would mark the beginning of a mystery that would endure for decades. As the bus wound its way through the scenic mountain roads, Trenny couldn't help but feel a sense of wonder at the beauty that surrounded her. The towering trees, the gentle murmur of streams, and the distant call of birds all seemed to beckon her deeper into the heart of the wilderness. Arriving at Clingman's Dome, the students disembarked and gathered around their teacher, Mr. Wayne Dunlap, who outlined their hiking route for the day. Their destination, Andrews Bald, a picturesque meadow nestled amidst the rugged terrain of the Smokies. Trenny listened intently, her imagination already racing ahead to the wonders that awaited them. The hike began in earnest with Trenny and her friend Robert Simpson eagerly leading the way. The trail meandered through dense forests and across babbling brooks, each step bringing them closer to their destination. Along the way, they laughed and joked, sharing stories and snacks as they immersed themselves in the beauty of their surroundings. As they neared Andrews Bald, the landscape opened up before them, revealing sweeping vistas of rolling hills and verdant valleys. Trenny's heart swelled with joy at the sight, her love for nature blossoming with each passing moment. She couldn't imagine a more perfect day. But then, as they reached Andrews Bald and settled down for lunch, a strange feeling began to creep over Trenny. A sense of unease washed over her, like a shadow passing over the sun. She tried to shake it off, attributing it to the unfamiliarity of being in such a remote wilderness. As the afternoon wore on, Trenny found herself growing restless, her earlier excitement giving way to a growing sense of dread. She glanced around nervously, feeling as though she were being watched by unseen eyes. Robert, sensing her discomfort, offered her his jacket in a gesture of kindness, but even its warmth couldn't chase away the chill that had settled over her soul. When it was time to begin the hike back to the bus, Trenny hesitated, her gaze lingering on the horizon as though searching for something she couldn't name. Robert, sensing her reluctance, urged her to stay with him a while longer, but Trenny insisted on pressing ahead alone, her steps quickening as though driven by some unseen force. And then, in the blink of an eye, she was gone. The students searched frantically for any sign of their missing classmate, calling out her name as they combed the area for clues. But Trenny had vanished without a trace, leaving behind only a lingering sense of bewilderment and fear. As night fell and the search continued, Trenny's family waited anxiously for news, their hearts heavy with worry. Hope Gibson, Trenny's mother, clung to the faint hope that her daughter would soon be found safe and sound, but deep down she feared the worst. Days turned into weeks and weeks into months, but still there was no sign of Trenny. The once vibrant teenager had become a ghostly presence, haunting the memories of those who had known her, and fueling rumors and speculation that echoed through the mountains like whispers on the wind. Decades passed, and still, the mystery of Trenny Lynn Gibson's disappearance remained unsolved. In the heart of this picturesque wilderness, a group of Swiss hikers discovered the young man's remains near Lake Minnewanka. The stunning scenery surrounding this tragic scene, approximately 17 kilometers from Banff, added a haunting layer to the unfolding story. The snow-capped peaks and serene waters of Lake Minnewanka, typically a haven for nature lovers, now held a sad secret. a poignant reminder of the fragility of life amidst the breathtaking beauty of Banff National Park. The Alberta Medical Examiner, meticulously combing through the details, utilized dental records to confirm the identity of the deceased as Willie Linsky, a 22-year-old from Whistler. As the news rippled through the tight-knit community, it echoed the uncertainty that often lurks beneath the surface of seemingly idyllic landscapes. The once vibrant personality of Willie, now silenced, left behind a void that contrasted sharply with the awe-inspiring surroundings, leaving locals and visitors alike grappling with the juxtaposition of life and loss in nature's grandeur. The news of Willie Linsky's discovery sent shockwaves through the serene landscape of Banff National Park. This place had unwittingly harbored the secrets of his mysterious disappearance for over a year. The revelation brought a cascade of unanswered questions. Despite the clarity on Willie's identity, the cause of his death remained elusive. Authorities, however, dismissed suspicions, leaving the circumstances shrouded in mystery. The timeline between Linsky's demise and the eventual recovery of his body became another enigma. This puzzle piece refused to fit into the larger narrative. Willie's life, abruptly interrupted, was a tale that began in Vancouver. A computer programming student at the British Columbia Institute of Technology, BCIT, he vanished one fateful night in April 2017. Unresponsive to texts, his disappearance triggered a missing persons investigation by the Vancouver police. Surveillance footage unveiled a journey that led him to a Greyhound bus bound for Edmonton, culminating in a stay at the Century Casino and Hotel. The investigation took an unexpected turn when a ping from Willie's cell phone in Calgary led authorities to believe he was safe, prompting the closure of the case. This decision, justified under privacy regulations, left his family bewildered and searching for a son they believed was still missing. As months passed, the Linskys sought answers, employing a private investigator to aid their quest. A glimmer of hope surfaced when news emerged that Willie's identification was found in a Banff shopping center. The revelation, linking the ID to the missing persons case, breathed new life into the investigation. Fueled by this discovery, Heather Linsky traveled to Banff, desperate for any sign of her son. Conversations with employees from the Food Resource Center unveiled snippets of Willie's presence in September 2017, a piece of the puzzle that only deepened the mystery. The Linsky family, once particular of Willie's stable mental state, now grappled with the possibility of depression induced by academic stress. In Banff, a community enveloped by majestic mountains, police remained clueless about Willie's activities and connections, adding to the intricate web of unanswered questions that define this real-life mystery.
Amid a vibrant summer on July 15, 2021, Jean Lafitte National Park, a sanctuary of natural beauty located just outside New Orleans, Louisiana, became the scene of an unfolding mystery that captured the hearts of the local community and beyond. Ellis Bodine, a spirited 4-year-old boy with nonverbal autism, ventured into the park with his family, looking forward to a day filled with exploration and the simple joys of childhood. Ellis, described by those who knew him as an energetic and loving child with a penchant for adventure, was particularly fond of Paw Patrol, a detail that painted a picture of innocence and wonder. His family, a tight-knit unit, cherished these moments in nature, seeing them as opportunities to bond and create lasting memories. On that fateful day, the Bodines, including Ellis's 3-year-old sibling, had no clue of the sorrow ahead. The park, known for its dense forests and meandering waterways, offered the perfect backdrop for a family outing. The lush landscape greeted them as they arrived, promising tranquility and beauty. However, as the afternoon unfolded, a momentary lapse transformed the day into every parent's nightmare. Ellis's mother, momentarily stepping away to retrieve an item from the car, was met with the sound of a splash. In an instant, the laughter and chatter gave way to silence, and Ellis was nowhere to be found. Panic ensued as Ellis's mother plunged into the water near the twin canals, desperately searching for her son. The water, usually a source of life and refreshment, became a tableau of fear and uncertainty. Despite her efforts, there was no sign of Ellis. In the days that followed, the Jefferson Parish Sheriff's Office and a dedicated team of divers, sonar experts, and cadaver dogs launched an extensive search for Ellis. The waters of the Twin Canals and the surrounding areas were scoured for any trace of the missing child. Yet despite these efforts and the technology at their disposal, the search yielded no clues or evidence of Ellis's whereabouts. The community, united in hope and concern, watched as the days turned into weeks and the mystery of Ellis's disappearance deepening. As autumn gave way to winter, the absence of active search efforts did not diminish the resolve of those who sought to keep Ellis's memory alive. A vigil, organized by members of the local community, was held at the park, a solemn gathering that served as a testament to the collective yearning for closure and the enduring spirit of a child lost too soon. The flicker of candles in the twilight served as beacons of hope, each flame a silent pledge to never forget Ellis Bodine. Amidst the shared sorrow, theories about what might have happened to Ellis circulated. The possibility that he had drowned was considered, given the circumstances of his disappearance. Yet without conclusive evidence, questions remain, fueling speculation and the ache for definitive answers. The community pondered, speculated, and mourned the mystery of Ellis's fate, becoming a poignant narrative of loss and longing. Ellis's family, heartbroken yet resilient, sought solace in their memories of a boy whose life was a mosaic of joy, challenge, and love. They remembered his laughter, energy, and enthusiastic embrace each day. In their quest for answers, they found strength in each other and in the support of a community that refused to let Ellis's story be forgotten. As the investigation continued, with the Jefferson Parish Sheriff's Office affirming its active status, the hope for resolution remained undimmed. The vigil, a symbol of collective grief and solidarity, underscored the community's commitment to finding the truth and uncovering the details of that July afternoon in Jean Lafitte National Park. The story of Ellis Bodine, a child of boundless spirit and potential, remains a narrative of unanswered questions and enduring love. It's a reminder of the fragility of life, the depth of a family's love, and the unyielding hope that someday the mystery of his disappearance will be solved, offering peace to those who hold him dear. Standing at the mouth of a mysterious opening in the expansive Mojave Desert, Kenny Veach felt his mind racing. As a seasoned desert explorer hailing from Las Vegas, Kenny knew he had stumbled upon a discovery that would ignite a curiosity far beyond the ordinary. It was a warm June day in 2014 when Kenny's adventurous spirit led him to the rugged terrain near Nellis Air Force Base. As he traversed the rocky landscape, his keen eyes caught sight of an unusual formation, a cave entrance shaped like a perfect capital M. Intrigued by this mysterious and unfamiliar sight, Kenny approached the cave, only to be met with an inexplicable sensation coursing through his body, a strange vibration that seemed to emanate from the very depths of the earth. Unable to shake off the unnerving feeling, Kenny retreated from the cave, his mind abuzz with questions and his heart pulsating with a mix of excitement and trepidation. Eager to share his encounter with the world, Kenny, under the username Snakebit McGee, took to YouTube, where he recounted his experience in a video titled "Son of an Area 51 Technician." Little did Kenny know that his comment would set in motion a chain of events that would propel him into the realm of urban legends and unsolved mysteries. His words sparked a torrent of curiosity among fellow internet users who craved for more details and urged Kenny to embark on a quest to rediscover the mysterious M Cave. Undeterred by the daunting prospect, Kenny heeded the call of adventure and set out on his first expedition to relocate the cave. Documenting his journey in a video titled M Cave Hike, Kenny ventured into the desert wilderness once more, determined to uncover the secrets hidden within the rocky terrain. Despite his best efforts, however, the mysterious cave remained elusive, shrouded in the veil of the desert landscape. Refusing to be deterred by initial setbacks, Kenny pressed on, fueled by a relentless curiosity and an insatiable thirst for exploration and internet fame. Armed with a 9mm handgun and a video camera, he embarked on a second expedition, capturing every moment of his quest in hopes of shedding light on the mysteries that eluded him during his initial expedition. Kenny's fate took a different turn. Despite his expertise in navigating the desert's rugged terrain and exploring uncharted areas, his journey led him to unexpected circumstances. On November 10, 2014, as the sun set and shadows stretched across the desert, Kenny began what would be his last hike, a venture into the unknown that tragically ended his explorations. After sending a message telling his then-girlfriend that he was going on a short overnight trip, nothing more was heard from Kenny. As the days turned into weeks and Kenny failed to return from his expedition, concern grew among his family, friends, and loved ones. His disappearance made headlines, and authorities launched an intensive search to locate the missing hiker. Yet despite their best efforts, Kenny seemed to have vanished without a trace, leaving behind only unanswered questions and a trail of speculation. On November 22, 2014, his cell phone was discovered near an abandoned mine shaft. However, despite the extensive search, no other belongings or traces of Kenny were found. Conspiracy theories began to emerge, each more unbelievable than the last. Some speculated that the vibrations Kenny felt near the M Cave were the result of a government device designed to deter curious citizens from uncovering the truth hidden within its depths. Others believed the cave was a gateway to a top-secret government facility, and Kenny had stumbled upon something he was never meant to see. Despite the speculation and uncertainty surrounding Kenny's disappearance, one fact remains evident. His fate was enveloped in mystery, leaving his whereabouts unanswered. Whether he became a victim of foul play, encountered a tragic accident, or embarked on a new journey in search of adventure, one undeniable truth persists. Kenny Veach is still missing. Until he or his body is found, the mystery surrounding his disappearance will endure. Kevin Race was a man who seemed to have it all: successful business, a love for the outdoors, and aspirations to make a difference in the world. Yet beneath the veneer of success lurked shadows of turmoil and uncertainty, waiting to engulf him in a web of mystery and speculation. Born and raised in the town of Woolwich, Maine, Kevin Race grew up surrounded by the rugged beauty of nature. His childhood days were spent exploring the woods, forging trails, and immersing himself in the wilderness that called out to him. With his towering frame, piercing blue eyes, and a mop of brown hair tousled by the wind, Kevin was the perfect picture of an outdoorsman, a man in harmony with the earth beneath his feet and the sky above his head. As he grew older, Kevin's passion for the outdoors only intensified. He yearned for adventure, for the thrill of scaling peaks and traversing rugged landscapes. Yet amidst his wanderlust, he found grounding in the world of business. Together with his business partner, David Bird, he founded Custom Cordage LLC, a company specializing in rope manufacturing. Through dedication and hard work, they turned their modest venture into a thriving enterprise, providing quality ropes to adventurers and craftsmen alike. However, success came with its own set of challenges. Behind closed doors, rumors of financial discrepancies started to circulate. Allegations of embezzlement hovered over Kevin like a dark cloud, casting doubt on his integrity and jeopardizing everything he had built. With a looming civil lawsuit and an impending court date, Kevin stood at a crossroads, uncertain of the path ahead. With a heavy heart and a mind weighed down by impending trouble, Kevin prepared to embark on his journey in the crisp September air. Amidst his fear and shame, he left behind a note for his loved ones before leaving his home. The note conveyed his destination, Mount Washington, and in shaky handwriting expressed his search for his final resting place. These words, coupled with his troubled situation, felt like a forewarning, a premonition to those who knew and cared for him. In the days following Kevin's disappearance, his family and friends were haunted by those words, grappling with the chilling reality that their beloved Kevin had vanished without a trace. His car, discovered at the base of Mount Washington, shed no further lead regarding his whereabouts. As time passed and the days turned into weeks, then months, the search for Kevin intensified. Law enforcement agencies, search and rescue teams, and volunteers from near and far joined forces in the effort. Yet despite their relentless efforts, the rugged terrain of Mount Washington proved unforgiving, its secrets shrouded beneath a veil of mystery. Following Kevin's disappearance, whispers of foul play and conspiracy began to spread, casting a shadow of suspicion over those closest to him. His business partner, once regarded as a trusted ally, became entangled in a web of accusations and recriminations as the truth about the alleged embezzlement surfaced. Speculation ran rampant. Some speculated Kevin orchestrated his own disappearance to evade legal repercussions, while others fear he met a tragic end at the hands of people who marked him for death on the mountain. Meanwhile, Kevin's family endured the agony of uncertainty, holding on to the hope that he would eventually come back to them safe and sound. However, as months turned into years, that hope gradually faded, replaced by a profound sense of emptiness, a constant reminder of Kevin's absence and the unanswered questions that lingered in their hearts. Kevin Race's disappearance would be remembered as a cautionary tale, a story of a man overtaken by his inner struggles, adrift in the wilderness he once admired. Yet amidst the darkness of tragedy, a faint ray of hope persists, a hope that someday the truth surrounding his disappearance will come to light.
It was June 8, 2022, a day like any other in the Amazon rainforest. But amidst this seemingly ordinary day in the forest, a mystery was unfolding, a mystery that would captivate the world and leave two families desperate for answers. Veteran British journalist Dom Phillips and his Brazilian guide Bruno Pereira went on a trip to the Amazon. Their mission was clear: to investigate the illegal logging activities that threatened the fragile ecosystem of the rainforest. Bringing cameras and notebooks, they set out into the unknown, unaware of the dangers that awaited them. In May 2022, Dom and Bruno set off from Atalaia do Norte, a riverside town that served as their gateway to the Javari Reserve. Their destination was the remote Lago do Jaburu region, where reports of illegal logging had surfaced. Despite the risks, their determination spurred them onward. As they delved deeper into the rainforest, tensions began to mount. Reports of armed men patrolling the area were heard. Threats loomed around them, indicating that danger may not be too far from them. Yet, undeterred, they pressed on, driven by a shared commitment to justice. Their trip took an unexpected turn when they made a stopover in the community of São Rafael. Bruno had arranged a meeting with a local leader to discuss indigenous patrols, but the leader failed to show up. However, they continued towards Atalaia do Norte, their next destination. It was near the community of São Gabriel that they were last seen, their boat gliding silently down the river. Witnesses watched in silence as they disappeared around a bend, unaware of the events that would soon unfold. Little did they know it would be the last time anyone would see them alive. Concern grew among Dom and Bruno's families. When they failed to arrive at their destination by the expected time, alarm bells rang. Search parties were dispatched, but the vastness of the rainforest made their task daunting. Every moment counted, every lead was crucial in the race against time, and still, there was no sign of Dom and Bruno. The Brazilian authorities mobilized their resources, deploying helicopters and boats in a desperate bid to find them. Yet they were still missing and nowhere to be found. What if they had stumbled upon something they weren't meant to see? What if their disappearance was no accident? As news of their disappearance spread, the world watched in horror. Media outlets clamored for updates, while activists rallied in solidarity with the missing men. From London to Rio, vigils were held, prayers offered for their safe return. Days passed, and still there was no sign of Dom and Bruno. In June 2022, a day like any other turned grim when Brazilian authorities discovered the bodies of two men buried deep in the heart of the rainforest. Their identities were confirmed as Dom Phillips and Bruno Pereira, followed by the announcement of a suspect in connection with their disappearance. As the world mourned their loss, the memories of Dom and Bruno lived on. Their courage to face danger inspired others to speak out, to stand up for what they believed in. Their commitment to justice became a rallying cry for press freedom and environmental protection. In the shadowed whispers of Banff National Park, where the North Saskatchewan River winds like a serpent through the dense, untamed wilderness, the mysterious disappearance of Gagandeep Singh Khalsa in 2020 remains a chilling enigma. A 23-year-old man whose life was a vibrant tapestry woven with aspirations, community service, and a profound love for the natural world. Gagandeep, who had journeyed from India to Canada 4 years prior, embodies youthful ambition and dedication. In Calgary, he became an indispensable part of the Sikh community, known for his selflessness and generosity. His days were split between working as an office assistant at a medical office, fervently studying after graduating from Bow Valley College, and immersing himself in volunteer work. Gagandeep was not just building a life, he was crafting a legacy of kindness and hard work, while awaiting his permanent residency papers to solidify his place in his dream country. But Gagandeep's story took an unforeseen turn one fateful Saturday evening during a hike along the Glacier Lake Trail. With 2 friends by his side and the serene backdrop of a pedestrian bridge over the North Saskatchewan River, he paused to capture the moment with his camera. The swift and unforgiving river played the unsuspecting stage to a tragic misstep. Gagandeep slipped into the cold, fast-moving waters, leaving his friends in a frantic dash downstream in a futile attempt to keep track of him. The shock and disbelief that rippled through the Calgary Sikh community were palpable. Gagandeep, the vibrant young man with so much to live for, was presumed to have drowned. The Sikh community, reeling from the shock, rallied around Gagandeep's family, offering support and prayers for a son swept away in the prime of his life. His mother, oceans away, grappled with the devastating possibility that her only son, who had embraced Canada as his dream country, might never return. Gagandeep, who had recently celebrated his engagement and stood on the cusp of a bright future, was now the subject of a tale that whispered of loss and the unfathomable secrets of the North Saskatchewan River. Search efforts commenced urgently as emergency crews responded with helicopters and ground teams, combing the area until darkness fell. The search resumed at dawn with added resources, including jet boats and the Canadian Canine Search Corps. Yet the river, with its hidden depths and swift currents, offered no clues to Gagandeep's whereabouts. As the search operations faced logistical challenges and the natural perils of the remote area, those who knew Gagandeep clung to hope while grappling with the reality of the situation. The swift-moving water, an often underestimated hazard, had claimed the life of a beloved community member, volunteer, and friend. The search efforts were eventually scaled down, but the resolve to find Gagandeep remained, with plans to continue monitoring the river, hoping that time would bring closure to his family and friends. As word of his disappearance spread, theories began to swirl like the mist that often clings to the peaks of Banff. Some whispered of a sinister undercurrent in the seemingly serene park, suggesting that Gagandeep's fall was no accident. Rumors surfaced of suspects, shadowy figures whose motives lay hidden beneath layers of mystery, prompting investigations that seemed to lead further into darkness rather than light. Gagandeep's disappearance in the majestic setting of Banff National Park is a poignant reminder of the unpredictable nature of life and the fragile thread that connects us. His story, marked by dreams, love for the outdoors, and an abrupt end, haunts those who knew him and the community he served. It is a tale that leaves us with more questions than answers, a life cut short in the pursuit of adventure, leaving behind a legacy of service and the mystery of what truly happened on that tragic day by the river.
Sprawling wilderness of the Grand Canyon, a mystery unfolded that would perplex and intrigue those who stumbled upon it. It was September 17, 2017, a day like any other in the park, except for the fact that Zhong Yong Wan, a 45-year-old man, would suddenly vanish without a trace. His disappearance would soon become a tale whispered among the towering cliffs and echoing canyons, a puzzle that seemed as vast and inscrutable as the park itself. Jung-Yeon's journey began not in the Grand Canyon, but in the bustling streets of Los Angeles, where he lived. His life took a mysterious turn when his white Toyota Camry was discovered abandoned at Moran Point on the south rim of the Grand Canyon National Park. This discovery was baffling for several reasons. For one, Zhongyan had no known reason to be in the area. His car, previously spotted near the New Hants trailhead, sat silently, holding the secrets of its owner's whereabouts. The details of Zhongyan's life before his disappearance add layers of complexity to the case. A few months earlier, in the quiet town of Knoxville, Illinois, he had a run-in with the law. One night, his white car nearly caused a collision, leading to a police stop where a language barrier complicated the interaction. Zhongyan, speaking little English, revealed he was moving to New York and the car belonged to his nephew. A search of the vehicle uncovered cannabis and a digital scale, which he claimed were gifts from a friend in California. Despite the potential legal ramifications, this incident seemed like a mere footnote in the grand narrative of Zhongyan's life until his disappearance. Theories abounded among those who followed the case. Some speculated that Zhongyan, perhaps overwhelmed by legal troubles or the weight of personal issues, sought solace in the wilderness. Others wondered if he had met with foul play or succumbed to the natural dangers of the park. The New Hants trailhead, known for its challenging terrain and the absence of a designated parking area, hinted at a possible hike gone awry. This trail, more suited to experienced backpackers than casual day hikers, featured steep descents and rugged paths, and in September, the relentless heat could dehydrate an unprepared traveler swiftly. Amidst these speculations, the online community dissected every available piece of information, sharing theories and offering condolences. Some pointed out the harsh realities of navigating the U.S. national parks, especially for foreigners who might underestimate their vastness and the dangers they contain. Discussions veered from the plausibility of Zhongyan getting lost or injured on a difficult trail to the darker corners of human nature and the possibility of suicide. The silence from Zhongyan's family puzzled many. Was it possible that they were unaware of his fate, or did they choose to grieve in private, away from the prying eyes of the public? The lack of updates, coupled with the sparse details from official sources, left a void filled with speculation and sorrow. Despite the best efforts of park authorities and the collective sleuthing of interested onlookers, Zhongyan's fate remains a mystery. His story is a somber reminder of the unpredictability of life and the impenetrable depths of nature's majesty. The Grand Canyon, with its breathtaking views and hidden dangers, continues to hold Zhongyan's secret, a testament to the enduring mystery of human existence against the backdrop of the natural world. As the years pass, Zhongyan's story is etched into the lore of the Grand Canyon, a haunting narrative of loss and unanswered questions. It stands as a somber beacon for those who venture into the wild, a reminder of the thin veil between beauty and danger, between being found and becoming forever lost. A tale of mystery began to unfold in Wyoming, where vast landscapes grow in the embrace of nature. LaKayla Shea Putnick, a 14-year-old girl from Charleston, West Virginia, put herself in the middle of a dangerous journey that would capture the attention of those seeking answers. Yellowstone National Park, a world of awe-inspiring wonders, stood as a backdrop to Shea's peculiar adventure. The park, known for its geothermal wonders, majestic wildlife, and breathtaking landscapes, was the canvas for the unfolding story. Shea's story turned unexpectedly in the bubbling geysers and serene wilderness. Temporarily placed with a foster family in Wyoming, Shea's life took an unsettling twist on August 7, 2018. In the vast expanse of Yellowstone National Park, she made a decision that left her family and authorities concerned. Without a trace, she departed from her foster family, setting in motion a series of events that would baffle those attempting to make sense of her mysterious disappearance. The Kanawha County Sheriff's Office received an intriguing tip from a park visitor. A witness claimed to have seen Shea holding a sign, a cryptic message that hinted at her intentions. The sign boldly declared her desire to reach Denver. The motive behind Shay's journey remained shrouded in mystery, adding a layer of complexity to the unfolding narrative. No one knew why she wanted to go to Denver. Her foster family was also unaware of this visit. Days passed at average speed, and there was no clue of Shay. Neither the family nor authorities received any communication from the adventurous teenager. The wilderness of Yellowstone held its secrets, and Shay seemed to have become one with the park's enigmatic allure. As investigators delved into Shay's background, they found connections to distant lands: North Charleston, West Virginia, Fort Walton, Florida, Billings, Montana, and Denver. These connections painted a portrait of a teenager whose roots spanned across the vast American landscape. Each location held a piece of Shay's past, and the mystery deepened as the search expanded to encompass these diverse corners of the country. Why did Shay embark on this journey? What prompted a 14-year-old girl to go to Denver as her elusive destination? These questions raised concerns, echoing through the corridors of the sheriff's office and the minds of Shay's worried family members. Yellowstone National Park, known for its natural wonders, stood a silent witness of this secret. Amidst the geysers and mountains of Yellowstone, search and rescue teams continued on a search to unravel the mystery. The picturesque landscapes, once a source of tranquility, now echoed with the urgency of a community searching for one of its own. Helicopters soared above, and foot searchers combed through the dense vegetation, hoping to find a clue leading them to Shay. Despite all efforts, she wasn't found. The reasons behind Shay's decision, the significance of her ties to different places, and the mystery of her destination remained unanswered, leaving those following the saga in suspense. However, years later, there was a Facebook post from the Kanawha County Sheriff's Office. The post shed light on Shay's return. According to the post, Shay returned several months ago. When, how, and with whom? These questions were still unanswered. In the expanse of Yellowstone, where high mountains whisper tales of the past, the story of Shay and her unclear disappearance and return unfolded like a suspenseful novel. A teenager's disappearance, a cryptic sign, and the vast landscapes of America intertwined to create a narrative that would be etched in the annals of Yellowstone's rich history. 2006, the serene landscape of Crater Lake National Park, nestled in the heart of southern Oregon, became the backdrop for a story that would etch itself into the annals of the park's mysterious history. Into this breathtaking but formidable setting stepped Sammy Bulkey, an 8-year-old boy with a passion for the outdoors and an adventurous spirit. Accompanied by his father, Kenneth, 48, the duo had set out to enjoy a day amidst the natural splendor of Crater Lake. Sammy, known for his lively personality and a touch of stubbornness, also had a mild form of autism, making him particularly sensitive to loud noises and bright lights, but also incredibly focused and curious about the world around him. The Bulkeys, hailing from Portland, Oregon, had navigated the complexities of a family life reshaped by divorce in 2005, but found common ground and joy in their shared love for the great outdoors. Sammy, with his short brown hair, brown eyes, and a smile that could light up the dense forests of Crater Lake, was dressed for adventure that day in a long-sleeved black and green t-shirt, cargo pants, a blue winter coat, and red suede slip-on shoes. As the sun descended on that fateful day near the Cleetwood Cove area, an innocent game of tag between father and son became the preamble of a mystery that would captivate and confound many for years to come. Little did they know, this day would mark the last time Sammy was seen, setting the stage for a disappearance that remains unsolved to this day. As the daylight waned over Crater Lake National Park on October 14, 2006, Sammy Bulkey's playful laughter echoed off the ancient volcanic rocks. This sound would soon vanish into the thickening silence of the evening. The game of tag, a simple moment of joy between father and son, took an unexpected turn when Sammy, fueled by curiosity and perhaps the sight of gleaming yellow rock, darted up a cinder slope into the dense woods of Cleetwood Cove. Kenneth, momentarily distracted by the beauty of the lake or perhaps the task of gathering their belongings, looked up to find his son's figure disappearing into the forest. Panic set in as he realized Sammy was not within sight. The boy, who had previously shown a knack for hide and seek, now seemed to have hidden too well or ventured too far. Sammy, with his mild autism, had always found comfort in small, enclosed spaces, making him an adept hider. However, this environment vastly differed from the familiar playgrounds and community centers. Crater Lake's vast wilderness, with its rugged terrain and thick underbrush, could disorient even the most experienced adventurers. Kenneth's initial search yielded no results, pushing him to alert the park authorities. What followed was an extensive search operation that mobilized over 200 personnel, including expert trackers, search dogs, and helicopters. They combed through 6 square miles of forest and volcanic rock, where nature overshadowed human efforts with its sheer scale and unpredictability. As days turned into weeks and weeks into months, no trace of Sammy was found. Not even the red suede shoes he wore that day, or the black and green t-shirt that should have stood out against the natural backdrop. Theories about his disappearance began circulating, ranging from the plausible to the outlandish. Some pondered if Sammy, in his exploration, might have stumbled upon a hidden crevice or fallen into one of the park's many steep ravines, becoming unreachable. Others whispered of Crater Lake's deep waters, suggesting he somehow made his way to the lake itself, a scenario fraught with danger given the cold temperatures and the legend of the Old Man of the Lake. Amidst the search and speculation, the spiritual beliefs of the native Klamath people about Crater Lake being a battleground for the spirits Skell and Lau added a layer of mystery. Could Sammy have encountered something beyond the ordinary that spirited him away from the physical world? This theory, while fantastical, resonated with those who knew the park's sacred and sometimes eerie atmosphere. Kenneth and the rest of the Bulkey family were left in a limbo of grief and unanswered questions. The pain of not knowing Sammy's fate was a heavy burden, compounded by the wild nature of Crater Lake, a place of beauty that had turned into a setting for their worst nightmare. A sad tale unfolded in Yellowstone National Park, where nature's beauty often reveals mysteries. In September 2018, Wyoming echoed the news of the missing brothers. Kim Crumbo from Ogden, Utah, and his brother Mark O'Neill from Chimacum, Washington, embarked on a 4-night backcountry trip to Shoshone Lake. Little did they know the wilderness they sought to conquer would become the stage for a heart-wrenching saga. Both brothers worked as professional river guides. Kim Crumbo spent 20 years with the National Park Service as a Grand Canyon National Park park ranger. He was a resource management specialist, wilderness coordinator, and a former Navy SEAL from Ogden. On Sunday, September 19th, a family member reported the overdue brothers, triggering a search that would grip the park for weeks. The search crew scoured the trails, shores, and open waters, hoping to find a trace of the missing duo. The once tranquil Shoshone Lake now whispered secrets of uncertainty. As days passed, hope dwindled. On Monday, September 20th, the search crew made a grim discovery. Mark O'Neill's lifeless body lay on the east shore of Shoshone Lake. The cause of death? Exposure or hypothermia sent shockwaves through the park, marking the first tragic chapter of the wilderness tale. With one brother found, the search shifted focus to the still missing Kim Crumbo. The National Park Service's Submerged Resources Center employed sonar equipment, and park crews tirelessly combed the area by foot and boat. Assistance came from Grand Teton National Park's interagency helicopter and dedicated dog teams from Western Montana search dogs. Despite 5 days of exhaustive efforts, the wilderness held on to its secrets. On September 24th, the search transitioned from rescue to recovery. Sonar equipment now delved into the depths of the lake, seeking clues that might lead to Kim Crumbo. The park, in a sad acknowledgement, prepared for the possibility that the wilderness might not yield its final secret easily. As the recovery efforts continued, the incident remained under investigation. The park's officials, bound by the unfolding tragedy, could only offer limited information. The specifics of the investigation were shrouded in the wilderness's enigma, leaving questions unanswered and the families uncertain. The saga of Kim Crumbo's disappearance in the wild embraced uncertainty. Yellowstone, a haven for natural wonders, now held within its borders a story of loss, resilience, and unanswered questions. Fueled by dedication, the park's search and rescue teams continued their quest, hoping to bring closure to a tale that unfolded in the heart of the untamed wilderness. As the echoes of Shoshone Lake's waves whispered through the landscape, the fate of Kim Crumbo remained uncertain, leaving a poignant mark on the park's history, where beauty and mystery often walked hand in hand. No one knew that a professional river guide and Navy SEAL would meet his fate like this and would be forever lost in the cruel waters.
In the rolling hills of Cary, North Carolina, Christopher Lee Cessna lived a quiet life, his days measured by the gentle rhythm of small-town living. At 45 years old, he was a man of routine. His mornings were spent sipping coffee on his porch, watching the world awaken with the sun's golden embrace. Christopher's love for nature was as deep as the roots of the towering oaks that graced his backyard. He often ventured into the nearby woods, finding solace in the ancient trees and the chorus of birdsong that filled the air. But beneath this tranquil facade lurked a shadow, a darkness that gnawed at Christopher's soul. His heart weighed heavy with unspoken burdens, his mind a labyrinth of fears and doubts. Despite the warmth of the Carolina sun, a coldness crept into his bones, a chill that refused to dissipate. It was on one such morning, the air thick with the promise of rain, that Christopher's world was turned upside down. As he sipped his coffee, lost in thought, a realization dawned upon him. A realization that would set into motion a series of events that would forever alter the course of his life. Christopher's mind drifted to the handgun tucked away in his bedside drawer, a relic of a past he had long tried to bury. The weight of it, both literal and metaphorical, bore down on him, a constant reminder of his inner turmoil. That day, as the rain began to fall, Christopher made a decision, one that would lead him down a path shrouded in uncertainty. He packed a bag, leaving behind a note for his family, a cryptic message that offered no explanation for his sudden departure. With the quiet resolve of a man burdened by secrets, Christopher set out into the storm, his destination unknown even to himself. The roads blurred past, the rain obscuring his vision, mirroring the tumult within his heart. Days turned into nights, and nights into weeks. As Christopher wandered aimlessly, his mind a whirlwind of conflicting emotions. He sought solace in the wild places. The beauty of the world around him was a balm for his troubled soul. It was in the midst of this journey, amidst the towering peaks of the Great Smoky Mountains, that Christopher's path crossed with destiny. His car, a silent witness to his inner turmoil, sat abandoned in the Newfound Gap parking area, a beacon drawing him deeper into the wilderness. As park rangers combed the rugged terrain, their searchlights cutting through the darkness like swords, Christopher's fate hung in the balance. The Appalachian Trail, a lifeline stretching through the heart of the wilderness, became both his sanctuary and his prison. The days stretched into weeks, each moment pregnant with the weight of the unknown. Rangers scoured the trails, their footsteps echoing in the silence, each leaf rustling beneath their feet like a whisper of hope. And so, as the sun set over the Great Smoky Mountains, casting long shadows over the rugged terrain, the search for Christopher Lee Cessna continued. However, he was still missing up to this day.
In the shadow of the towering Everest, a tale of courage and silence unfolded, weaving a story that would echo through the hearts of many. Muhammad Hawari bin Hashim, a man whose world was quiet, embarked on a journey that spoke louder than words. From the bustling streets of Kapala Bataz, Penang, to the serene, formidable slopes of the highest peak on Earth, Hashim carried a dream to show that even in silence, one could roar. May 18, 2023, dawned crisply clear in the Himalayas, the sky a vast expanse of blue, watching over those who dared to tread its sacred grounds. Hashim was not alone in his ascent. He was guided by the steadfast Chakra Rai, a guide whose experience was as vast as the mountains themselves. Together they climbed, each step a testament to Hashim's resolve to shatter the barriers of perception and ability. Hashim's mission was not just personal, it was a beacon of hope for every soul that faced challenges, a declaration that the summit of dreams was attainable, regardless of the silence of one's world. As they reached the peak, the Penang flag unfurled against the stark white of Everest, marking a moment of triumph for Hashim and all who dared to dream beyond their limitations. Yet as the shadows lengthened and the euphoria of the summit gave way to the tricky descent, the mountain revealed its ruthless nature. Having etched his name in history, Hashim began his journey back to Camp 4. But fate, as unpredictable as the mountain winds, had other plans. By May 19th, whispers of concern spread through the base camp. Hashim was missing. The news sent ripples of worry and action through the camp. Nivesh Karkai, along with a team of seasoned Sherpas, launched into a search that battled against time, weather, and Everest's unforgiving terrain. The mountain, a silent witness to countless triumphs and tragedies, held its breath as the search for Hashim continued. Days melded into a blur of hope and despair. The search teams combing the crevices and ledges, looking for any sign of the brave soul who ventured into the realm of the gods. Amidst the vast snow and rock, they found a Gore-Tex jacket, a beacon of hope that Hashim was out there, waiting to be seen. The jacket, equipped with Reco technology, was a silent cry for help, a thread connecting Hashim to those who sought him. Back in Malaysia, Hashim's family clung to tendrils of hope that news of his safety would reach them. His wife, a pillar of strength amidst the uncertainty, and his two children, too young to grasp the magnitude of their father's silence, waited for a miracle. As the search continued, the reality of the mountain's harsh decree became apparent. The chances of finding Hashim alive dwindled with each passing day, his silence merging with the eternal quiet of Everest. The rescue operation, a testament to the resilience and courage of those who dared to look for one of their own, was called off. Everest claimed another soul, adding to the lore of bravery and heartbreak it had witnessed. Muhammad Hawari bin Hashim's story, a narrative of courage, dreams, and the poignant silence of loss, were forever etched in the hearts of those who heard it. His ascent to Everest was not just a climb, but a message to the world that the human spirit speaks volumes, even in silence. It was a journey that transcended the physical realms, touching the hearts of those who believe in the power of dreams and the indomitable will to achieve them. In the end, Everest remains, as ever, a witness to the myriad of stories of those who dare to embrace its challenges. Among these tales, Muhammad Hawari bin Hashim's story stands as a beacon of hope, courage, and the profound impact of a silent journey that echoes worldwide. In the vast silence that wraps the towering slopes of Mount Everest, Jason Bernard Kennison's story unfolded. A tale of resilience, dreams, and the indomitable human spirit. Born in the sun-drenched city of Perth, Australia, Jason's life was marked by remarkable courage, beginning with a tragic twist of fate in 2006 that would forever alter his path. A devastating car crash left him grappling with a shattered body and a future clouded with uncertainty. Doctors doubted he would walk again, but Jason, with a heart fiercer than Everest's winds, refused to bow to fate. His recovery was nothing short of miraculous. Jason's days became a relentless pursuit of regaining what was lost. He faced each grueling physical therapy session with the determination of a climber facing the mountain's deadliest ascent. His spirit, unbroken, soared beyond the confines of his injuries. He taught himself to walk again, defying the limits set by his broken body. And with each step, he moved closer to a dream that had taken root in his heart, the summit of Everest. Jason's passion for climbing was ignited by documentaries of mountaineers who had braved the world's highest peak. Their stories of triumph and tragedy on the slopes of Everest spoke to something deep within him, a call to adventure that he could not ignore. Climbing became more than a sport. It was a testament to his journey from the brink of despair to the pinnacle of human endurance. In 2023, Jason set his sights on Everest, not just as a climber, but as a beacon of hope for others grappling with spinal cord injuries. He dedicated his climb to raising funds for Spinal Cord Injuries Australia, turning his battle into a crusade for those still fighting to find their way back from the edge. The preparation was intense, a year of physical and mental conditioning to prepare himself for the ultimate challenge. The climb was a harrowing test of will. Jason, now 40, faced the relentless elements of Everest with a steadfast resolve. With its breathtaking beauty and deadly perils, the mountain was a formidable adversary. As he ascended, every step was a victory over the doubts that had once threatened to define him. Jason's journey was a dance with danger, a balance between the thrill of the climb and the ever-present shadow of risk. Tragedy struck at the summit. Jason became unresponsive, a stark reminder of Everest's unforgiving nature. The descent became a race against time, a desperate effort to bring him to safety. Despite the heroic efforts of his Sherpa guides, the mountain claimed another soul. Jason's dream to stand atop the world ended on the balcony, a small platform where climbers rest before the final push to the summit. The news of Jason's passing was a blow felt across continents, from the rugged slopes of Everest to the shores of Australia. His family, heartbroken, shared his story with the world, a story of a man who had stood on top of the world but did not come home. His final texts, poignant reminders of his struggle against the elements, echoed the sentiments of a climber who had given his all. Jason's legacy is one of inspiration, a reminder that the human spirit knows no bounds. His life was a testament to the power of resilience, a narrative of overcoming the impossible. As the world mourns the loss of a true adventurer, Jason's story will endure, a beacon for those who dare to dream, climb, and conquer their Everest.